This introduction to the wheatgrass growing DVD is being made for a disclaimer purpose. Any copyrights or rebroadcasts of this DVD are strictly prohibited without the express written consent of Michael and Hippocrates. And also, the views and opinions expressed on this DVD are those of me, not necessarily of those of Hippocrates or any of its employees. I mentioned in this DVD about juicers. My favorite juicer, and the only juicer that I recommend for anybody who's actually juicing wheatgrass, is this little healthy juicer. The healthy juicer is made from lectin. Lectin is a polycarbonate plastic, kind of like the Vitamix. Vitamix is one of the best blenders out there. It doesn't do wheatgrass though. This one actually does wheatgrass. It's a little manual machine for $45. In my 18 years of growing wheatgrass, this is the best machine I've come across. It's a hand juicer, so it does take a little bit to get used to. It might take a little bit of effort in the first time you use it. It might be a little more difficult to use. But by the second and third time you're going to get used to it. You're going to know how much grass to put in. But it works with a single auger unit. Now the single augers work the best for juicing wheatgrass, leafy greens, sprouts, cucumbers, celery. This will do all of that. It'll actually make a green juice for you. Here at Hippocrates we serve 3 green juices a day, 7 days a week. This will do your green drink for you. Now with wheatgrass, it actually takes the grass and it wrings it out. Okay, the twin auger machines like your Green Life, your Green Star, the Green Power, the Green Magic, all the things with the two augers in it, they tend to give you a little bit more foam, and the reason for that is they cut the grass into pieces before they actually juice it, so they allow more oxidation. You will still get some juice from them, yes, absolutely they do work, but you're going to get a little bit more foam. With the single auger machine, now this auger is the thing in the middle there, it's kind of like the old-fashioned meat grinders. Okay, that's exactly how these work. They look like a little drill bit in the center there. The single auger machines will give you no foam. Okay, so this one is the best one out there, especially for the money. For $45, it's worth it. You can get it from my personal website right on the front page. My personal website is www.hippocratesgreenhouse.com. Okay, the juice comes out the back of the machine. The fibers come out the front. Another great thing about this machine is there's a screen, and the screen is on the outside of the juicer. A lot of machines out there, the screen's on the inside. You have to take the whole machine apart, clean it before you can make another juice. You got to clean the screen in the middle. This one, I take to health shows with me. I travel all over the country, and I can do 100 ounces of juice in one day of wheatgrass juice using this machine without ever taking it apart and cleaning it. All I have to do is rinse out the screen once in a while. I do recommend watching a little 15-minute DVD that is made specifically for this juicer. You can go to the website and it'll tell you where to go to watch the little 15-minute intro. It tells you how to take it apart, clean it, use this machine. But do watch that first. They do make an electric version of this model too. It is selling now for about $160, and you can get that again via the front page of my personal website at hippocratesgreenhouse.com. Now there are other machines out there. There's the Jack LaLanne, Jay the Juice Man, the centrifugal cutter machines. Those do not juice wheatgrass. Okay, the Champion juicer. I love the Champion. It's one of the best juicers around. Does not juice wheatgrass, however. A lot of these machines tell you they will do wheatgrass, but in 1 pound of wheatgrass, you should be getting 10 to 13 ounces of juice out of 1 pound. If you're getting less than 10 ounces, it is your juicer. It is not the grass you're juicing. 1 pound should give you 10 to 13 ounces of wheatgrass juice out of 1 pound. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. What we're going to teach in this DVD is going to teach you how to grow a large tray. Large trays are approximately 18 inches by 18 inches square, and that's going to give you 2 pounds of wheatgrass out of 1 pound of seed. So 1 pound of wheat seed is going to yield 2 pounds of grass, so that one tray is going to give you about 26 ounces of juice when using this little machine. Now we have $1,000 stainless steel wheatgrass juicers here at Hippocrates Health Institute, and those juicers don't do a good of a job as this little plastic juicer does, believe it or not. Again, it looks like a toy, has a 1-year warranty, but that's the one I recommend out of all the machines that are out there these days, either the hand juicer or the electric version of the healthy juicer. Now, the things I'm going to talk about in this DVD as well, the main issues that I get all the time are, I got mold problems. What do I do? I'm going to talk about that. Okay, there is no quick fix for that spiderwebby cottony mold. There's no quick fix. I know a lot of people want to do the hydrogen peroxide, grapefruit seed extract, all these different things that they've heard. If you spray it on it, it'll work. Unfortunately, you'd have to use it the entire time. Rather than doing that, I suggest a couple different things in this DVD to help you with that spiderwebby mold. The bottom line is if you do get it, you can just wash it off and then still use the grass. The grass is not bad if you get that spiderwebby stuff. The other thing is the taste of the wheatgrass, and I get that one a lot. Ultimately, when you grow wheatgrass correctly, as I'm going to explain to you, then you will have actually sweet tasting grass. Wheatgrass should always be sweet, palatable. Okay, ideally, Ann Wigmore, who founded this lifestyle back 50 years ago, she healed herself from lawn grass. Okay, it wasn't wheatgrass. She chose wheat because wheat was the best tasting. And I've had some of the other grasses in the past, and they're all good. Grass is good. I want you to hear that loud and clear. Grass is grass. Grass is green. Green is good. So whatever kind of grass you choose is going to be okay, but we want the best taste here. So wheatgrass was the best tasting of all the grasses that are out there. That's why we chose wheat. Now, it's also not supposed to be cut as you need it. Once a tray of wheatgrass is grown and ready to harvest, you need to cut the entire tray, and that cut grass will store 1 week in a refrigerator. However, don't let it sit there and grow, because every day that you don't harvest it, it's going to age about 40 years sitting in that tray. This DVD is also going to tell you when to harvest your wheatgrass. Those are the few basic things, the main questions that I get here all the time. If you do have any other questions regarding anything that I talk about, as with movies, you know, sometimes you watch a movie, you have to watch it again and again to kind of catch the meaning of it. This DVD is going to be very similar. There's a lot of information on here. I've been in this for 18 years. I started out in San Diego at another institute called the Optimum Health. It's right outside San Diego in Lemon Grove. I started there in 1990. Actually built their state-of-the-art greenhouse that they have, designed and structured and built it. If you do have any questions about maybe starting a business after you watch this DVD, you can go ahead and contact me via email. I don't do phone calls, unfortunately. I don't have time for that, but I will absolutely do emails anytime that I can. Okay, my email address is on my personal website, which is hippocratesgreenhouse.com, all one word. And you can send me an email direct, ask me questions. I can help you out as much as I can for free. When it comes that you actually are ready to start this and actually do this business, we can get into more details about how to design, structure, and build your own greenhouse. Now, I wouldn't really even build a greenhouse at this point. Okay, I'm working on another DVD that's going to be an instructional business plan DVD. That's not ready yet, but you can email me about that if you do want to get into this more and more in the future. Wheatgrass is a great thing. I'm going to also be making an orientation DVD that is going to explain kind of what the greens are all about in today's world. We have to have the earth back in our food chain. The earth. Greens are the closest thing to the earth. We have to have the earth back in our food chain, more oxygen back in our bloodstream, make the body more alkaline, and increase your circulation. It's what simple is true. Again, 18 years in this. I've kind of seen and heard it all. But this is the heart. You're watching the heart of what these programs are based around, which is wheatgrass and your greens. In this DVD, you're going to get sunflower as well as buckwheat and pea greens. Okay, these are the 4 things that we grow in the soil. I don't recommend buying any kind of electric kit that are out there that teach you how to grow wheatgrass or tell you can do it in your home. If you buy this kit and this little thing, I don't recommend anything like that. Okay, all you really need is a tray, some soil, and some seeds, and anybody can do this. There is no automatic grower unit that I would ever tell anyone to buy. They're going to cost a lot of money and they're really not worth it. You're going to end up with more problems. So this one's going to explain to you how to do it step by step. If you have any questions on anything that I talk about in this DVD, please send me an email. Again, I will help you out as much as I can. The 4 things that we do in the soil, in the earth, is wheatgrass, number 1, best of the best, top of the line. 2 ounces twice a day is what we do here at Hippocrates. But for your average person at home, 2 ounces once a day is fine. Do it in the morning on an empty stomach. Okay, don't ever do more than 2 ounces at any one given time. That's all your body needs. It doesn't matter the size, shape, height, weight, dimensions. 2 ounces is all your body needs at any one given time. 2 ounces of wheatgrass juice is equivalent to almost 5 pounds of fresh vegetables nutrient content. So 2 ounces is all you need at any one time. Okay, you can do more. I've watched people do more. But their body loves the first 2. The other 2, for a lot of people, become a diuretic. It passes right through your system. So wheatgrass, number 1, best of the best, top of the line. Then we do sunflower greens, pea greens, and buckwheat lettuce. Those are the 4 things we're doing in the soil. The sunflower greens and pea greens that you're going to see, those are put into our green juice. Now the key to making a green juice is the word green. And don't get confused. Okay, keep the greens together. We don't do the carrots or the beets. We don't do a lot of fruit. Okay, Okay, those are very high in sugar. And I know juice bars are popping up all over the place, and people, vegans and vegetarians, are thinking they're doing themselves good by going to a juice bar and having a smoothie. Ultimately, smoothies these days is a blender with ice cubes and some fake juice. A lot of companies aren't even putting fresh fruit in them anymore. So you're getting basically a jar and a glass full of sugar. And then they're tacking on the protein powder, which is also 50 to 60% sugar. So be careful with some of those, the health drinks that you see out there. Greens is the way to go. Okay? Breathe as you're doing this. Not only do you get the benefits of it when you grow it in your home, but you get the byproduct of it also as it grows in your home. You get oxygen. Oxygen's a good thing. Okay? I did a blog on my personal website that'll explain in detail a little bit more about what I'm talking about. Okay, and also I'm going to do the orientation, which is going to be free to watch online at the Hippocrates Institute website. That's hippocratesinstitute.org. If you're looking for equipment in the future, for dehydrators, for different machines, juicers, you can go to 877myjuicer.com is another great website for equipment. They really keep the prices low on that website. They will also match any other price that you can find. You can get them via my personal website as well. I get to, in my 18 years of doing this, I did get to work with Tart-Jensen for a couple of years. She actually spent 11 years with Tart-Jensen, iridologist. She has the only college course of iridology you can get online, and her website is bernardjensen.org. She has a thing called the Kalima board for colon cleansing, which is also an awesome thing to do for your body, especially when you're detoxing. Clean that colon out. So you're getting number one, top of the line, best of the best here with wheatgrass. Okay, but don't ever forget, grass is grass is grass is grass. So if you can't get wheatgrass, but you can get barley grass, ryegrass, spelt grass, amen, do it, drink it. Greens are good. A lot of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is doing what that hemoglobin does in our blood. That hemoglobin distributes oxygen in the cells. Take a deep breath, drink your green juice. Okay? Now I'm going to take you through just kind of really quickly to show you visually, step by step, what the wheatgrass, sunflower, pea greens look like each day of their growth. So you kind of get a feel of what yours might look like at home. Okay? I'll be right with you to do that. Hi everybody, welcome. We're going to be teaching you how to grow wheatgrass today. Also sunflower, pea greens, buckwheat lettuce. Those are the 4 things we do in the soil. And that's what we're covering today in the lecture. Next week we're going to be doing the hydroponic sprouts, and on a different DVD is also going to be the hydroponic sprouts, the alfalfa, the mungs, the lentils, the clover, and then of course the alfalfa, broccoli, radish, all those other little sprouts. Those are all hydroponic, meaning without soil. Okay, today we're doing all the products that we grow here at Hippocrates in the earth, in the soil. And I'm going to be explaining a lot of different things today. There's a handout that comes with this DVD, as well as you all got the handouts today. In this class today, we're going to start out basically making it as simple as possible for everybody to do this, no matter where you live, indoors, outdoors, Florida, Alaska, Hawaii. We're going to make it very easy for you to do this when you go home. Let's face it, this is the heart of Hippocrates. This is how this whole thing got started 50 years ago in Boston with Ann Wigmore. Basically wheatgrass. She founded this whole program around lawn grass. I mentioned that in the orientation on Monday for you. Okay, she founded this whole program around lawn grass, basically going out there chewing on the average everyday lawn grass, getting ill from it in the beginning. That was normal. That's a normal process of the body. But then eventually started feeling better and better and better, and now all these changes were happening with her body, and all she was doing was chewing on lawn grass. She chose wheatgrass over all the other varieties, basically after growing them all. She took barley and wheat and rye and spelt and Kentucky bluegrass and oats and basically anything that would grow into a grass within about 7 to 10 days. And after they were all grown, she put her cat on the ground. The cat smelled all the different grasses and started chewing on wheatgrass. So then she borrowed the neighbor's dog, put the dog down, the dog smelled them all, and then started chewing on wheatgrass. Only reason 50 years ago she chose wheat over all the other varieties of different grasses that are out there. Remember, she healed herself from lawn grass, not wheatgrass. Okay, she chose wheat because it was the best tasting. Now, I always say that, and people are like, how can anybody enjoy the taste of it? And there's always people that do enjoy it. Of course, no one ever hangs out with those people. But the reason the animals chose it is a little bit of a sweeter tasting grass. Now, barley is incredibly bitter. And some of those other grasses are a little bit mild, but they just don't taste like wheatgrass does when it's grown right. So what happens is, as a grower, I bring a tray of wheatgrass to a health food store or juice bar and it's ready to harvest. It's going to taste good. But a lot of times the juice bar doesn't cut it right away. They put it in the window for a display so people could see it. It sits in the window for 2 days. It hasn't been watered, which it should never. The sun hits it, which it should never. And literally 2 days later, that wheatgrass is now aged about 80 years sitting in that tray. And here's the issue. If they would have cut it right when I brought it to them fresh, it would have tasted good. It would have been sweet. It would have been palatable. But they let it grow and they think that they need to cut it as it ages. Well, that's not the truth, because every day that you don't cut it in that tray, it's aging 40 years. It's dying in that tray. Okay, wheat is an annual seed. What an annual seed means is it wants to produce itself. It will actually produce more seed. It will go to wheat. Where your perennial seed, like your front lawn, your backyard, those keep growing and growing. They never go to seed. So you can't take wheat, unfortunately, and grow it as your backyard. And I know a lot of you are disappointed with that one. Think you can just go mow your yard during the summer months and just start juicing that. That would have been easy. Okay, so wheat's an annual seed. Ideally, when it's ready to harvest, you cut the entire tray, which I'm going to show you today. Okay, and that's when you get the best tasting of the grass. Don't let it sit there and grow and just cut it as you need it. Cut the entire thing at one time, and then you can place that in the refrigerator, and it will store 1 to 2 weeks in the refrigerator, depending on how you're storing it. We're going to talk a little bit about that too today. So has everybody got that? There's a book on wheatgrass if you want to share it with your friends. You know, a lot of you go home and the people, your friends and your family will ask you what you're doing at Hippocrates, and you'll say, well, I was drinking wheatgrass. And they'll say, well, what is it? Well, that's when you get this little book. Okay, now this is the same book. Okay, Wheatgrass, Nature's Finest Medicine by Steve Merowitz. Steve Merowitz is the Sprout Man, a wonderful website to write down if you want to write that down. It's called sproutman.com. Okay, that's Steve Merowitz. Now, Steve has a lot of the facts. Okay, I'm going to talk what simple is true. I'm not the scientist part of this. Okay, I'm going to teach you how to grow it. I get that part of it. But if you want nutritional breakdowns, if you want to find out about more in details about what that mold is, which I'm going to talk a lot about today as well, go to sproutman.com. He also has information about the E. coli's in sprouts and toxins. He has the science behind it. Okay, we're going to get into that next week in the other lecture. But if you want a great book, again, this is the exact same book. It's called Wheatgrass, Nature's Finest Medicine. This is the older version. Now, if you do have the older version, and you know what that one looks like, write down page 117 is the best page of the book, because there's a picture of me. If you do have the newer version of the book, however, you want to write down page 157. There's another picture of me. It's a little bit bigger, a little bit better. I'll autograph that for you if you want. Nothing? Okay. So, Steve Merowitz, sproutman.com. And I like Steve because he updates all his material. You know, he went from one book to the next, even though it's the same book. But this one has 50 new pages and a lot more update of information that he offers to you, because he really stays on top of things. Steve Merowitz, sproutman.com. We also here at Hippocrates have a little chart, a nice little green chart, that has how to grow your wheatgrass, growing supplies, tells you about chlorophyll, sprouts, green juices, wheatgrass, alkaline and acid. Basically all the notes that I'm going to talk about today are in this little nice little color chart that we have in the store. You can also get it online if you're buying his DVD. Thank you. All right, so there's that. I lived in California. I started in 1990. Started this whole process for me in 1990 at the Optimum Health Institute. And it's out in the San Diego area. And when I got out there, it was a place similar to this. And there was problems with wheatgrass. They always had shortages of wheatgrass. They had mold problems. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about that today too, because obviously that's the one email that I keep getting over and over again. My personal website, if you have any questions for me after you leave here and you want to actually get into the details, because now you're growing it yourself at home and you're having problems. Okay, my personal website is hippocratesgreenhouse.com. It's all one word, hippocratesgreenhouse.com. And you can email me if you have any questions. If you can send me a picture of the actual grass you're growing, that would help me out a lot. I can usually just look at the picture of the grass or the sunflower or the pea greens or the buckwheat, and I can tell you what's wrong with it just by looking at it. So a picture will definitely help. Now, when you're out in California, if anybody's been out there, you all see everybody has personalized license plates, right? So I got to get mine, of course. Personalized license plate. And it's funny because I went to the DMV to pick up my little plate, and the woman's looking at it, and she's looking at me. She's looking at it, she's looking at me. And she said, "You're the gross man?" And I said, "No, it's grass, man. Grass." I was pulled over 17 times. So, and when I started out in this, you know, I kind of did a little bit of everything that the Institute had to offer. I worked in the kitchen, I worked maintenance, I painted all the rooms there, I worked in the store, I answered phones, I did a little bit of everything. And then all of a sudden one day the head of the Wheatgrass department opened up and they asked me if I wanted that, and I said, "A department head? Does it pay more?" They said, "Yes, it pays more." I said, "Okay, I'll take the job." That's the whole story how I got into Wheatgrass, and now here I am today. When I got there, like I said, there was a lot of problems. There was a lot of mold issues. And here's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to give you the basics, so no matter where you live, even if you're wanting to build a greenhouse. I know a lot of people have purchased this DVD and want to learn how to grow their own, as well as maybe start a business. This is a great business to start. I'll give you a great idea right now. Buy an ice cream truck, remodel it. Paint it really colorful fruits and vegetables on the outside. Use your frozen coolers in there to have fruits to make smoothies. And then use your refrigeration units to have all your freshly cut, peeled vegetables, greens ready to juice. Mount your Vitamix, your Champion, your Wheatgrass juicer right on the counter. And pull into downtown office buildings where people are on the 25th floor sitting behind a computer all day long, and bring them fresh green juices, wheatgrass, anything, sprouted beans, those high energy foods. I'll tell you, if I'm a CEO of a company, I want your truck pulling into my business. Because I know if my employees are eating that way or drinking those juices, I'm going to get better productivity from them. So I'm encouraging your truck to come to my place. Or you can go to a set where they're filming a movie and just park on that set all day long. Those people that are in that business can afford you, and they want to eat healthy, and they want to drink those juices. You know, when you drink a juice rather than eat a meal, you're going to stay clear. You're going to stay more focused. You're going to stay awake. Because you know after a meal what happens, you're getting tired, right? Taking a little nap. Because your body's trying to digest that food. So by doing the green juice, now you're actually going to stay awake. Now, here's another side business you can do. If that one, by the way, if the ice cream truck business works, send me 10% for the first year because I gave you that idea. Another side business. A friend of mine, just like yourself, was sitting in that chair back in 1990 when I first got into this. She went back to Northern California, started growing wheatgrass for herself and her husband. And as time went on, she would literally call me about every 2 months with a different problem. And it was either mold, the grass was light green, it wasn't dark anymore, or it wasn't sprouting well. I mean, there was a different issue every time she called me. And I started to get to know her and who she was, and I'd be like, okay, what's the problem this time? And as she was calling me every couple months, the amounts of grass that she was growing kept increasing. It was just 1 tray a week, then it was 2 trays a week, then it was 10 trays a week. Come to find out now, as she was doing it, because remember, the best way to change anything, or change anybody, is to change you. So she was just focusing on herself, but now the neighbors wanted some, right? Now the juice bar down the street, her family members wanted to get involved. So she figures, man, I'll start a business. And she was centrally located in Northern California, so she bought a delivery van, went to San Francisco on one day, went north to Sacramento on another day, went south another day, and then went inland another day. So she basically covered the whole Northern California area every day. And now fast forward, about 3 years down the line, she's growing now 125 trays a day. And actually hires me to go up there and help, you know, kind of feng shui her greenhouse, make it work a little bit better. Now fast forward another 3 years, calls me up and said, I just got the Jamba Juice account in Northern California. Now, if you're not familiar with Jamba, they're basically like Starbucks, except they're the juice bar of the Starbucks world. And I got the Jamba Juice account, and I said, what does that mean? She said, now I need to grow 400 trays a day, 6 days a week. So she hired me. That's basically what I did. I moved a greenhouse, made a bigger operation, and for 6 months before I started working here at Hippocrates, I was working for her. It is a good business. It really is. The turnaround. I mean, I'm going to teach you how to grow this tray of wheatgrass. Now, this tray of wheatgrass, they sell it in the stores, your health food stores, right? You're going to buy 1 tray of wheatgrass for a minimum, usually about $15, up to $30 depending who you're buying the tray from. That 1 tray of grass is going to yield over 20 ounces of juice. So you're buying the wheatgrass by the ounce. A lot of you are buying it by the ounce. It's $1 an ounce, $1.50 an ounce. New York City, it's $3 to $4 for 1 ounce of juice. Now that same tray is going to yield you $30, $60, $80 for 1 tray of grass, and you can grow it yourself at home for about $2. That's the most it's going to cost you at home to grow. So did anybody catch that? It's a good business. I'm available for consultation, or you call my 900 line. If I breathe heavy, it's the wrong line, sorry. Everybody take a deep breath right now. It's free. I'm not charging it. Even if you're watching this DVD, take a deep breath. Breathingisgood.com, .org, .net, .gov. So, I do actually, while we're on that .com site thing, I do want to give you 2 different websites right now. And I usually don't pass these things along, but they're really important. Okay, one of the websites is a former health educator graduate of ours. Okay, our health educator course here at Hippocrates is an awesome program. It is 9 weeks long. Our health educator program, the first 3 weeks, you're actually going through the Life Change program that we do here all year at Hippocrates. And then the following 6 weeks is when we take you behind the scenes and we actually teach you how to put somebody through the first 3 weeks that you're going through. Our health educator program is 3 times a year. And we had a graduate of ours named Chris Carr. And her website is crazysexycancer.com. She was on Oprah Winfrey a few months back. She's basically made her own little movie about her cancer that she was dealing with. But the reason I like Chris and I promote her, not only is she a health educator graduate, she's respected here at Hippocrates, obviously, but I also promote her because she promotes the greens. And that's who kind of I work for, is that lifeblood of this whole thing, is the greens. Get the earth back in your diet, get the greens back in your bloodstream. Okay, that's where all your proteins are, is in the greens. Basically, if the protein's in the meat has to be eating the greens in order for the protein to be in the meat. Remember, we're mammals. We talked about that. Human beings are mammals, and most of your mammals on the planet Earth are living on grasses and leafy greens. So I don't need science to tell me where the protein's coming from. Because if you agree that we are mammals, then so are they. Then where are they getting their proteins from? They have hair, skin, eyes, teeth, internal functions, muscles. They have all those things. We have all those things. I don't need science to teach me anything about that. That just makes sense. So Chris is promoting the greens, wheatgrass and green juices. Now keep in mind, if you want to make a green juice when you leave Hippocrates, the key to making a green juice is the word green. Everybody got that? Because so many people panic, well, I'm not going to be able to grow sunflower peas right now. What do I do? Well, you're going to get cucumber, celery, right? And then you're going to get spinach, kale. Cabbage is wonderful green. Parsley, the leaves of beets. There's a lot of awesome greens. You can use those little sprouts. You can use alfalfa sprouts, broccoli sprouts. You can use anything that has a leafy green on it. That makes a green juice. That's the key to making a green juice. We're going to talk about juices at the very end of this DVD as well. Okay, there's a lot of things you can do to make a green juice. So Chris is promoting green drinks, wheatgrass juice, but she's also promoting one thing that I believe in more and more every day after being in this field for the last 18 years. She's promoting this, a little positive thinking. A little creating a different way to look at things. And saying that instead of, well, I have cancer. It's, I have cancer! It's okay. I'm going to go on to the next day. I'm going to get through this. But so many people, when they hear that word, they think, oh, well, that's the end. That's what I do. Oh, you're going to die if you have cancer. No, you're not. Man, I am in this business for the last 18 years because that's not going to happen to you. Because you follow this lifestyle, you stick with these green juices, no, your body's going to start changing. You all know that. You're going through this. A lot of you on your 3rd week here, you know what I'm talking about. Man, I hear the testimonies here at Hippocrates every Friday. And that keeps me here for another year just by going to testimonies once. It's an awesome thing what this course does, and you know that. Okay, so that's Chris Carr, Crazy Sexy Cancer. The other one I'm going to give you, and I got this one about 2 months ago now, is TED.com. It's TED. It's TED.com. And the one I want you to watch, and a lot of you might have heard this one already, but I just got it about 2 months ago, is Jill Bolte Taylor. Jill Bolte Taylor, and it's called My Stroke of Insight. That's the name of the little video. It's about 18 minutes long. I want you to watch. And if you haven't seen it, take the 18 minutes of your life and watch it. I am telling you, after the years I've been in this, there is a bigger picture. I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. Because you got to know everything. Just not only how to grow the greens, but you got to know other stuff too. Jill Bolte Taylor, My Stroke of Insight. Okay, that's the one I want you to watch on TED.com, T-E-D. Spend some time, take the 18 minutes and watch it. It'll be worth your time. My Stroke of Insight is the name of it, by Jill Bolte Taylor. She was also on Oprah recently too. Everybody take another deep breath. Let's start this thing. Okay, so let's talk about the cool things. When I say cool, I mean temperature. Okay, so this is what I had to learn. I take over the greenhouse. We're having problems, shortages. So I figure, well, what am I going to do? Well, I went and bought the wheatgrass from local growers and found out there was 3 different local growers in Southern California that have been in the business for 15 years, before 1990, before I got into it. And they didn't really want to tell me anything. because basically that was their business, right? And it was hard to be in a business of growing wheatgrass and try to make any money on it in Southern California even. This is a great time to make a DVD, by the way. That's why I picked it, because I figured the hammering gets in the background. You know, that's the fun of it. It stays forever. So these growers basically didn't help me out. They didn't want to tell me anything in the beginning. They just wanted me to buy the wheatgrass from them. I was basically their main customer. Now the thing I'm going to help you out with, because I was always told it was the temperature that was causing the mold problems. It was the weather conditions. It was too hot, it was too cold, it was winter, spring, summer, fall, the Santa Anas are blowing, it was overcast, it was raining. I mean, you name it, they said it was a weather condition. Okay, so here's what I'm going to educate you on as far as temperature goes. Okay, now again, no matter where you live, indoors, outdoors, just keep this in mind. If you're going to build a structure, try to create this in your structure. I would not build a greenhouse at this stage. Greenhouse allows too much light in, and you can't control the climate as easy. So, temperature, here you go. Always keep it above 50 degrees. Now, some of these things you can write down somewhere in your notes, but this stuff you probably want to write down when you see me writing it up here. So keep it above 50 degrees at all times. Now, people in California always came to me in the winter and said, once in a while in the winter here in California, it gets in the 40s at night. Is that okay? No, because 40 is actually below 50. So if you ask me a question like that, that's the answer you're going to get. Always try to keep it above 50 degrees at all times. If it gets below 50, it gets too cold. Your grass will become dormant. It'll stop it from growing. So try to keep it above 50. That means for you in the north, okay, you live where it snows, you better take it indoors. Can't keep it out in the snow if it's going to be below 50. Okay, it's not going to grow for you. So bring it indoors in a basement, in a garage, put a heat on it. You've got to figure out how to create some of this yourself. But I'm going to tell you keep it above 50. Now if it starts to get 80 degrees or hotter, then you want to make sure you have air circulation. Okay? Now that airflow, what that does is it helps to prevent about 98% of all of your mold problems. Now when I say the word mold, I mean that spiderwebby, cottony stuff that starts to grow up in the grass. And you know what I'm talking about if you're actually growing this already. That spiderwebby stuff looks like cotton, just kind of spreads around in the grass. Okay, about 90% of the time, that's a lack of circulation mold. You're not getting enough airflow through the grass. Okay, so try to create air circulation. Now what that means is, okay, if it gets above 80, turn your fan on, turn a ceiling fan on, buy a little oscillating fan, put it on the grass throughout the day. Okay, put your air conditioner on. Put it by the window where there's a breeze. Anything to create air circulation if it starts to get hot will help prevent, okay, about 90% of all that spiderwebby cottony mold. If you still get that mold problem and you know you have good airflow, you can still use the wheatgrass. Okay, that cottony stuff is an exterior mold. It's growing around the grass. It's not actually in the blades. So in other words, if you get that, all you have to do is harvest your grass like I'm going to teach you today, and then just rinse it off before you juice it. You can still use that grass. It's okay. It's not bad. Okay, that mold is always in the air. Just a matter if it sits around the grass, that's all. Just rinse it off. Now, I say above 80 degrees, and people here in Florida will think, well, it gets 95 to 100. Can you still grow wheatgrass? Yeah. We lost power here at Hippocrates 3 years ago when we got the hurricanes. And one day in my greenhouse without power, the air basically got to about 115 degrees within about 2 hours, and all my sprouts and grass started to fall over. It was way too hot for them. So what I did was I bought a generator, and I have 2 little exhaust fans on top of the greenhouse, just something to pull the air through the greenhouse. So I hooked up a generator, ran those 2 exhaust fans, opened the front door, and it pulled the air right through the front door out the top. And in literally 100-degree temperature, high humidity as Florida is, I grew beautiful wheatgrass for 3 weeks in 100 degrees by having air circulation. So does everybody get that? That's really important because I get that question a lot about mold. Create airflow, air circulation. Okay, now, in Northern California, 110 degrees, we grew 400 trays of wheatgrass 6 days a week without any mold on it. Because what we had is, we basically had a wind tunnel. In other words, part of the greenhouse on one end had 2 huge exhaust fans, and on the other end was a barn door. And anytime it got above 80, we opened up the door, clicked the fans on, it pulled the air right through the greenhouse. So no matter where you stood, you felt a breeze. Now, Northern California is awfully dry if you've been in there, so you know who I'm talking to now. Okay, and if you're watching this, you know, if you live in a dry climate, like Northern California, or a desert climate, if it gets above 80 and you increase your airflow, you might have to water it twice a day now instead of once a day. So if you live in a dry climate and it gets above 80, you increase your air circulation, water it twice a day instead of once a day. Okay, that's if you live in a dry climate. Here in Florida, even though it was 100 degrees and I had air circulation once a day, was still fine because it was so much humidity in the air. So you don't need to worry about it here. Now, we covered temperature. That's a big one. The other thing Mother Nature produces out there is light. Okay, so here's what you need to know about light. You never want the direct sunlight. Never keep it in the direct sunlight. Always, always in the shade. Never direct sunlight. The direct sunlight these days especially will dry out your wheatgrass, basically kill it almost instantly if it sits in it too long. Okay, so always create, as far as light goes, just indirect light. Okay, never direct light. Now, it doesn't matter north facing, east facing, I'm not going to get into that. As long as the sun's not hitting it direct, you're fine. As a matter of fact, if you could see inside the room you're growing the grass in without turning a light on, there's plenty of light for it to green up. Everybody hear that? If you could see in the room, you don't have to add any light. Light does not need to be sitting right on top of your grass. I would never put it there. If you have to grow this in a basement or a garage in the winter month because it's too cold outside, but there's no windows in your garage or basement, then here's what you want to do. You want to buy full spectrum or wide spectrum lighting. Okay, full spectrum or wide spectrum light bulbs. Okay, what it's actually, if you want to go learn about this, you can go to ottlight.com. It's OTTLITE.com. Okay, and that will explain about full spectrum, wide spectrum lighting. Basically, light bulbs. Now, I'm not saying plant lights or grow lights. Those are kind of those purplish tint lights. They're not that bright. Your wide spectrum or full spectrum lightings are the one you want to use. Again, you want to learn about it, go to ottlight.com. Most lighting stores carry a lot of these kind of bulbs, full or wide spectrum light bulbs. I'll tell you, if you want general overall health and well-being in your home right now when you leave Hippocrates, change all your light bulbs when you get home right now in your home, change them to full or wide spectrum lighting, and you will feel a difference. It is incredible what full and wide spectrum light bulbs do for your home in general. You'll feel like you're outdoors. Every time you're at home at night, you turn the light on, it's going to feel like outdoors. It is a big difference. It is a big change. When I had to buy my light bulbs for the greenhouse here at Hippocrates, I was calling all these lighting stores in the Yellow Pages asking for 8-foot full spectrum lighting, and every one of the companies I called said, "You growing pot? You growing pot?" I'm like, if I was, I couldn't tell you. But I am growing grass. Not that kind of grass. Take a deep breath. We sell it by the ounce too. That's kind of funny. Anyway, so as far as light goes, okay, always in the shade, never direct sunlight. If you can see in the room, there's plenty of light. Don't worry about it. You don't need to add any more. If you do have to change your light bulbs in your home to full spectrum, that's all you need to do. Keep them on as the sun would be out. Turn them off at night. Okay, keep them on as the sun would be out, and then turn them off at night. Okay, if you have the full spectrum or wide spectrum. You don't have to have them right on the grass. Just change the light bulbs in your general area that the grass is in. That's all you need to know about light. Covered temperature, covered light, water. As far as water, I wrote it down here too because that's one of the more important things is water. Water heavy every day. Water heavy every day. Now heavy means until it drips. When you see it start to drip, that's when you stop watering it. But make sure that that tray, that wheatgrass, the sunflower, the peas, the buckwheat, make sure they drip water every day. That's how heavy you have to water it. Okay, now people ask about water all the time. Which kind of water should I use? Doesn't really matter. Okay, water's not going to make a difference. It's not going to change anything. Okay, if you want to use tap water, city water, well water, if you're concerned about your tap water, buy a carbon filter at the Home Depot. Costs about $40. Attach it right to the kitchen sink. Pulls the chlorine and fluoride out, but it leaves the minerals in the water. That's just a carbon-based. Anybody can do that at home. You don't need a plumber. If you're worried about your tap water, I'm telling you right now, don't worry about water. Just make sure you're watering it every day. When I go to New York City, I bring this rack with me with all the grass on it, and I actually have it in the elevator going up in downtown New York City. And people think I'm nuts. But I take it to the room, and I take the trays, when I get to the hotel room, I take the trays off, I put them in the bathtub. And I put the shower on full, and I give it a good soaking for about a minute, and then I let them sit there for another 10 minutes so they drain. And after that, I just take them, put them back on the rack, take another 2, put them in the bathtub, and water them again. You do have to water heavy every day. Now that's going to be, I think it's a little bit of a challenge because you're going to take them off the rack, bring them over by the sink, bring them outside, bring them in the bathtub, because you obviously don't want to water them right on the rack and get water on your floor. I'm going to talk about this rack, okay, when we get there. But you do want to make sure you water heavy once a day and make sure that tray drips. Don't just mist it. Don't just spritz it. Soak it every day. Now the trays we're going to talk about in a second. Soil we're going to talk about as well. We're going to get into a lot of other things. I'm going to take a break right now for your green juice. So go ahead and take a 5-minute break. Go have some green juice, breathe, use the restroom, do whatever you got to do. Okay. Hi everybody. Hi. Welcome back. Hi. Everybody got your juice, breathing? Got your green juice and breathing? I always tell people to breathe because I figured you can't talk and breathe at the same time, so that works. Just kidding. But breathing also takes you back to the now. So anytime you're in a situation, you're getting a little confused, you're not sure what's going on, take a deep breath and come back to the present moment. It's a good place to be. Don't lose yourself in those other things and that outside stuff and your conditions and your programs and what you should and shouldn't be doing. Just take a deep breath and come back here. All right, we all back now? All right, so let's go. All right, so we talked about temperature, light. We talked about water. Let's get into, before I do the soil, let's get into the trays, the small and large trays. Now you're going to need to do some math here, but this is an easy one to figure out. Okay, so what I need you to do is write down your magic number, the number of ounces of juice, wheatgrass, that you need per day per household. Okay, now, as you all know, 2 ounces of wheatgrass juice is the most you want to drink at any one given time. You don't want to drink any more than 2 ounces at any one given time. I have watched people drink more than 2. Okay, some people can handle more than 2, but there's no reason to do it. That's the point. 2 ounces of wheatgrass is equivalent to almost 5 pounds of fresh vegetables, nutrient content. So 2 ounces of wheatgrass is a meal. And I've seen people drink 4 ounces. Their body loves the first 2 ounces, and the other 2 a lot of times becomes a diuretic. Tell you where the bathrooms are. It's important to know when you're drinking that much. 2 ounces, doesn't matter the size, shape, height, weight, dimension, blood type, where you're from. 2 ounces is all the human body needs at any one given time. Now we promote 2 ounces twice a day. You know that is what we're drinking here as the detox program. At home, if you're watching this DVD, maybe you just want to do 2 ounces in the morning. You can cut out a lot of those supplements, a lot of the enzymes, a lot of different things that you're taking on an everyday basis. A lot of things that your body really isn't even digesting. With those 2 ounces of wheatgrass juice in the morning is the most complete. That is the best breakfast to have. Remember we talked about a lot of the fruits that people are doing for breakfast are high in
sugar.
Amen. High in sugar. You know, people think they're doing themselves really good when they're going to the juice bars and having those smoothies. You know, because those are also basically fruit juice and ice cubes. You're not really getting any kind of nourishment in those. You're getting a lot of sugar is what you're getting. Okay, so be careful. That's going to give you that sugar high, and you're going to have to eat again by 12 and 1 o'clock, otherwise you're going to get the headaches. Okay, the headaches are from that sugar in the morning that you had, the caffeine in the morning if you're doing coffee, the carrot juice, glass of carrot juice that you did in the morning. So you're crashing from that sugar high by 12 or 1 o'clock and getting the headaches. You do the greens, you do your wheatgrass in the morning, you're not going to be getting headaches in the afternoon. Not at all. Even if you didn't eat in the afternoon, you're still not going to get those headaches. The headaches happen in the beginning, those first couple days. And it's basically because of the breakfast that you're getting the headaches. So 2 ounces of wheatgrass juice in the morning, if you're watching this and you want to do that, that's a great start. You want to cut back a little bit maybe and do 1 ounce in the morning, that's awesome too. Okay, now understand this, a lot of people thinking, well, if this wheatgrass is good, maybe the powdered wheatgrass is good for me too. And a lot of you heard powdered wheatgrass or frozen wheatgrass. Or the powders also have, barley in them. They have different kind of alfalfa. They have all these other different greens in them. I look at it the more the merrier. Put whatever you want in there. But hear this loud and clear. What fresh wheatgrass will do for your body in 1 week's time, it will take powdered wheatgrass 1 year to do the same thing that fresh does in 1 week. Did everybody hear that? Now, I'm not downing powders. Powdered wheatgrass is a good alternative if you can't get fresh, absolutely. If you travel, okay, you can't get fresh wheatgrass at any given time, then do a powder. Yes, it's better than nothing. Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, a powder is better than frozen. A frozen shot of wheatgrass is a mineral ice cube. You're basically getting that much in that frozen shot of wheatgrass. You're getting more actually in the powdered grasses. Okay, so what fresh does for your body in 1 week, powder will take 1 year. And frozen will take 2 years. So there's the difference. Now I exaggerate a little bit on that, but I want to make it clear so you hear what you actually get in fresh. You get that vibrational pattern, that energy, which we're going to talk about soon when we get to soil. Okay, right now I'm still talking about the trays. So back to the trays. We have small trays, we have large trays, and I'm going to show you what both of them look like. Okay, here is the small tray. Our small trays are 10 by 10 inches, and it takes a half a pound of seed per tray. Okay, now I'm telling you to write that down too, how many pounds, because this way you know how many pounds of seed you should buy in the beginning. Okay, so small trays are 10 by 10, a half a pound of seed per tray, and will yield about 8 to 10 ounces of wheatgrass juice out of these small trays. So again, if you put your magic number down there, how many ounces of wheatgrass you need per household per day, you got to do some math here, but you'll be able to figure out how many trays you're going to need. Okay, so here's the small trays, and again, the small trays have holes in the bottom of them. That's important for drainage. Anybody remember, if you read an Ann Wigmore book way back when, the trays that Ann Wigmore used in her books were cafeteria trays. What's the problem with cafeteria trays? There's no holes, there's no drainage, so you actually have to be careful how much you water because you could end up damaging it by overwatering. Also, cafeteria trays are very thin, they don't hold a lot of soil. But Ann Wigmore basically was the god, the founder of this program. She wrote the Bible, everybody wanted to follow the Bible, so everybody wanted cafeteria trays. Anybody know why she even chose cafeteria trays?
What she had available.
That's all that was available. That's why she picked cafeteria trays. That's all there was. Do you have to use them? No. They're actually not a good choice to use, but that's all that was around back then. Nowadays you can't even find them unless you go steal them from McDonald's or whatever. But now we have little small trays, okay? These are deep enough to hold your soil in there, and they have holes for drainage. Okay, now these are also kind of difficult to find. We do sell them here at Hippocrates or at our store or online. You can buy them as well. Okay, these are the small planting trays, 10 by 10. And then we have large planting trays. Now our large planting trays, okay, are 17 by 17. And these also have holes in the bottom for drainage, so you can never overwater. That's important. I'm going to say that again and again because water's key. You're never going to overwater. Okay, as long as that water can drain out, you're never going to overwater your grass. Now the large trays are 1 pound of seed per tray and yield about 18 to 22 ounces of juice. Okay, the large trays are 1 pound of seed per tray and yield between 18 to 22 ounces of juice. So, let's say my magic number I wrote down is I want 4 ounces of wheatgrass juice every day for my household. I literally can plant 1 large tray a week, right? Maybe I don't have it for 1 day, that's okay. Ann Wigmore even talks about taking a break from it once in a while because it is a cleanser, it is a detoxifier, it is a blood purifier. So maybe taking a break 1 day a week is not a bad thing, it's good. So I grow 1 tray per week for my household and I got 4 ounces of juice basically every day. Except maybe 1 day I don't have it, but that's okay. So 1 tray a week is all personally I need for 4 ounces of juice a day. I'm still going to purchase 3 trays. Even though I only need 1 per week, I'm going to buy 3 empty trays. And I'm going to tell you why you should buy some empty ones as soon as we get there, as soon as I start planting this for you. But buy a few extra, even though you only need 1. And then people think, well, I can buy those anywhere. No, there's only 1 company in the country that even makes these days. And they basically make them for a few wheatgrass growers, and we're one of them. So we sell them from the store again, also online. The cost is about $1.50 for the small ones, $3.50 for the large ones, but you only have to buy them once. They are reusable. Okay? Now, people think, well, I can buy that tray at Home Depot. This is the tray you're going to find at Home Depot. And this does not hold a lot of soil in it. So I wouldn't suggest buying that tray. Get these trays. Now, small and large. So you have to figure out how many you're going to need, by how many ounces you're going to need to grow. Now let's get into, all right, we talked about trays. Just so you know, for sunflower and for pea greens, for those of you who want to do the green juice when you go home, okay, for the sunflower greens and the pea greens that we use in our green juice here at Hippocrates, 1 large tray of each is all one person needs per week. 1 large tray of sunflower per person per week to do this program, to get enough for the juice, to get enough to eat. 1 large tray of sunflower and 1 large tray of pea greens per person per week, again, to get the juice and to eat. So that's all you got to figure out for those. So buy a few extra trays for those. I developed this little rack unit here. Now this is called our hydrosol rack. It holds 7 trays on top of each other. Now the large one and the small one are the same height. This is actually a different rack. This is my display rack. The dimensions this way and this way are the same, but the height is as tall as this small one here. It holds 7 trays on top of each other. It starts out small and gets bigger. The shelves get a little bit larger every shelf because it allows the grass to grow. So when you plant your new tray, you put it on the bottom, you rotate the other ones up. The rack gets a little bit bigger, allowing the grass to grow every shelf. If you have this in a place in your house that you're not worried about water on the floor, you got it on a patio, whatever, then you can water the top one and let it drain down. Don't worry about that. It can drip on each other. That's okay. If you have it in your living room, first of all, put a bath towel underneath just in case a little bit might drip. But then just take them off one by one, bring them by the sink, put them in the bathtub, just wait 10 minutes for them to drip, and then put them back on the rack. It makes a great conversation piece if you have this in your living room. Also, it comes partially assembled for you. You don't need any glue to put these pieces in. They tap in. All you do is tap in these little vertical pieces when you get home with a hammer. So this is the rack. The small one is for the small trays, hold 7 of them. This is for people that want to grow more grass or maybe do the sprouts too. Okay, as far as the large one, also holds 7. People want to get into all those and you want to actually do the sunflower and pea greens, the juice and everything else. Now I would buy also a spray bottle. Okay, the spray bottle. This is important to have. It's $1.49. You get them anywhere. Okay, I would actually have that on the rack. Keep it right there. I'm going to show you why we're going to use that. So, do you have to get an all-in-one system? I know there's a lot of systems out there for growing wheatgrass. No, don't get an all-in-one system because a lot of times you will end up with more mold problems. They are very expensive and you don't need all that. You don't even need these racks, honestly. All you really need is trays and some soil and some seeds. So you don't need a whole system. I'm teaching you how to do it today as simple as I know how to make sure you can grow this without having to purchase too much stuff. Okay, it's very inexpensive to do this. Now, we talked about these trays. Let's get into soil. Now, as I'm getting into soil, I want to tell you, there's a book called The Secret Life of Plants. Okay, this is an older book. It's called The Secret Life of Plants. If you haven't read this book, the easiest way to tell you what happens in the book and what they talked about is they took a plant and they put it in front of a speaker. They played rock and roll music out of the speaker. The plant grew away from the speaker. They played classical music out of the speaker. The plant grew towards the speaker. What's involved in that test? Vibration. There's nothing else involved in that test but vibration. So it seemed like the plant liked the classical music better. So they took it to the next level. They actually hooked the plant up to a little lie detector test thing. They can see its vibrational patterns. They put it in a room by itself. They took a guy off the street, gave him a lighter, and said, go in there and burn that plant. And as soon as he opened the door, the plant started registering haywire. Knew what he was going to do, felt his energy. So then they took somebody else off the street. They gave him a watering can. They said, go in there and water the plant. And as soon as they entered the room, the plant stayed just very serene, very calm. So then they took it to another level. Let's say you grew a tray of wheatgrass that had classical music played for it and one that hadn't. Okay, it's not going to make it grow any different. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not going to make it grow faster, taller, darker green. No. But if you did spend the time and do the science behind it, the one that had classical music, even though they look identical, the one that had classical music is going to be slightly higher all across the board in everything. So what is that about? How is that possible? So I would teach this lecture every week at one point, and there would be a plant behind me. I'd come in, tell you about classical music, and then I'd tear off 2 leaves of the plant and show them to you. I'd put 1 leaf on the table, the other leaf I'd put back on top of the plant itself. I'd come back 1 week later, I'd pick up this leaf, and I'd pick up this leaf, and I'd show them back to you. The one that I put on the table was brown, dried out, and dead, where the one that was on the plant itself that hadn't been watered all week was still green. How's that possible? I killed them at the same time. So now you want to tell me that the vibrational pattern of the plant kept that leaf alive, right? The energy that that plant was putting off actually kept the leaf alive, even though it wasn't attached to it any longer. That's proven. I've done that. So, okay, let's take it to a different level. Let's try to get it to the human level here, because we're getting to why I'm using soil. So the scientists had these rabbits, 2 brown ones and 1 white one. They shot them all up with the same amount of cancer just to test them. After 2 weeks, the brown rabbits were dead, but the white rabbit was still alive. Not only was the white rabbit still alive, it showed no sign of the cancer they gave it 2 weeks earlier. They couldn't figure out what was going on, so they tested it for another week. Did everything they could think of, couldn't find the cancer. Couldn't find the reason why this white rabbit was still alive. Didn't make any sense. So they finally, science has to prove everything, you know. They finally put a video camera up in the lab. They came in the next day and watched the videotape, and here's what they saw. About 12 o'clock midnight, the door opened to the lab, the janitor came in, he put his broom off to the side, he walked right over to the white rabbit's cage, opened it up, took the rabbit out and started petting it and playing with it. About 15 minutes he was petting it and playing with it. Then he put it back in the cage, closed it, cleaned the office and left. So they interviewed the janitor the next day. They said, we put a video camera up, did you know that? He said, no. They said, how long have you been touching our rabbit? He said, for the past month, since you got him. They asked him, what about the brown ones? He said, no, I had a white one when I was a kid. So now, you want to tell me that this 15 minutes a day this guy spent with that rabbit not only stopped it from dying, but healed it completely of its cancer. Anybody want to believe in that one? I'm telling you 150% that is the big reason. You want to define what nutrient is, what minerals are, what amino acids, what enzymes. You want to get into the science, go ahead. I'm going to tell you what they are. They're a vibrational pattern. They are an energy. They exist. This earth is alive if you didn't know that. The earth needs to be back in our diet. This is the reason I use soil. I don't use it for nutrient, as science proves. I use it for vibration, for energy, for that unconditional love thing that we all need to get back to, that we all have within us, that we're trying to get connected to each other again, that we all lost sight of because we build up this fear around it. We build up these conditions, these patterns, these programs, and we cover up that unconditional love thing that we all have. So what does this program do when you start to eat this way? This live food thing, these green things. You know what it starts to do? It starts to break those pieces off, that shell. And it starts to allow that little unconditional thing to start shining again. That's what it does. And it starts changing this. And you start thinking a little bit clearer. And you start realizing, am I happy with what I'm doing? Can I just change my life right now? Yes, you can. Don't wait for me to tell you it's the end before you decide to change your life. Do it right now. Why not? What are you waiting for? I'll tell you what, if you wouldn't be sitting right here in this lecture with me right now, if I told you it was going to end on Saturday, which is tomorrow, if you wouldn't be sitting here right now with me, think about that. Don't wait till someone tells you. Just start doing it. There's a lot of songs out there. I'm not going to start singing them all for you. But there's a couple of them out there that are saying the same thing. We have to get to that connection again. This is the reason I use soil. So if you're going to ask me what particular brand to use, I would never tell you what particular brand to use because it's not about the brand. It's not about organic or non-organic. It's not about any of that. You know what it is about, though? Use a good-looking earth, something that feels good to you. If you want to dig a hole in your backyard because you feel like it's, the grass grows green over there, use it. Okay? I got a particular brand of soil that I will show you, absolutely, because, obviously you need something to go by. This is called Lambert. I got this at Home Depot. Everybody have a Home Depot? Home Depots are like the Nordstroms for men. Sorry. Was that on tape? Okay, great. This is called Lambert, L-A-M-B-E-R-T. Now this is just a basic potting soil, a topsoil. Okay? Whatever kind of soil you want to use, again, I don't care what kind of soil it is. Just use something that feels good to you, that looks good. I wouldn't use Miracle Grow potting mix. You want to stay somewhat, pure. So this particular brand has peat moss in it. So you can read the back of the bag. It'll tell you if there's peat moss in it. Just look for one that has peat moss, P-E-A-T-M-O-S-S. If you're doing your organic composting at home, I'm not the person to ask it. It's not going to be on this video even if you purchased it. Okay? Composting is something that I don't love to do. So I actually purchased our organic vegetative compost that we use here for my stuff. Okay, I purchased it rather than sending someone out there to do it. I haven't found anybody that loves it that much that wants to do it that will work here at Hippocrates with me all the time. Okay, but if you want to get into your own organic gardening and composting, awesome. As a matter of fact, I asked a good friend of mine who's been an organic composter for 30 years and has been to every organic compost class in the world. And I said, you know, in your time doing this, what can you explain to me about composting if I was just getting into this? What advice would you give me? And he looked at me and he said, if it was alive at one time, throw it on the ground, it'll break down. And I said, 30 years? That's what you want to tell me? He said, yeah, otherwise you drive yourself nuts trying to figure out how it's going to break down. It's going to be too acid, too alkaline. Should you buy worms? No, you don't need to do any of that. As a matter of fact, if you throw anything on the ground, I'm pretty sure the worms are going to find you. You don't even have to go at them. So if you want to get into composting at home, I gave you that little handout, or you can go to the website, go to google.com, type in organic compost. You'll get more information than your heart desired about compost. Okay? Don't ask me anything about composting. I am not that kind of a person. But go to the website. They'll teach you everything you need to know. If you do want to get into this, please note that if you throw food waste on the ground, it's probably going to smell. So be careful about food waste. Cover it up if you want to do that. But after about 3 months, everything will compost. Now, a lot of times when you buy a compost in a bag, this is not a compost, this is a potting mix or potting soil. Because a lot of times if you purchase an organic compost in a bag like this, it's going to be too acid-based. And you're going to end up with more problems. You're going to have more mold, you're going to have more flies, you're going to have a bigger problem trying to grow this stuff. So that's why I stick with a very basic potting soil or topsoil is all you need. And this bag cost about $6. And I got 20 large trays and 40 small trays for $6. So it's very inexpensive to buy your own soil too when you go home. Okay? If you do use the peat moss, okay, it's 1 part peat moss to 3 parts soil if you want to get into composting. It's 1 part peat moss to 3 parts soil if you want to do your own composting. Once you put peat moss in, it's good for 5 years throughout the time. It stays there. You don't have to keep adding it in. Peat moss is a limited thing on the planet. So if you want to substitute, instead of using peat moss, coconut husks. You can use coconut husks. They're using the shavings of coconuts, and that actually takes the place of peat moss. Now, again, soil, a potting soil or topsoil is fine. That's all you need to use. And again, make sure to just read the back of the bag, make sure it has some peat moss. If you see the words like vermiculite and perlite, those are mineral rocks. Don't worry about those. You can use those too. Again, don't be concerned, per se, about the brand of soil. Just make sure you're using it, because here's the difference. Remember what I just told you and explained to you. The vibration pattern that's in it is why I'm using it. I can take a tray of wheatgrass, grow it in soil, and a tray without soil, hydroponically. And there is going to be a big visual difference. Science will tell you, oh, they're the same nutrient-wise. I'm going to tell you, there's a big difference. The one in soil grows faster, taller, darker green. It looks more healthy, more vibrant, more living. Where the one right next to it without soil takes a lot longer to grow, never gets as dark green, you don't get as much yield from it. And then you got people that are saying, well, I grow it hydroponically, but I add something to it. You've heard this? I add like an ocean solution or a sea kelp product. And they think that they're actually giving and feeding the seed something. I have added those products, and I have still grown them next to my soil, and it still looks identical. It does not grow and pick up that nutrient like this one picked up the vibration pattern of that herb. There is a big difference. I will tell you this. Don't waste your money on those products for growing wheatgrass, sunflower, the peas, the buckwheat, or your sprouts. You don't need to waste that product on these items. And when I say the word waste, I literally mean that. In other words, a seed is what it is for 0 to 10 days. It knows what to do. There is nothing you can add to it that's going to change its structure, its DNA from 0 to 10 days. It's done. It's going to know what to do. The ocean solution, the sea kelp products, they should be given back to the farms that are growing the seeds. Everybody hear that? That's where that product needs to be, because if it's not in the seed, you're not going to add it to it 0 to 10 days. It's not going to get in there. It is what it is. So make sure those products go back to the farms. If you have a garden at home, maybe you have an organic vegetable garden. Yes, use the sea kelp. Use the ocean solution in those. Use them for your plants around your home. They are awesome for that. But don't expect the grass and the sunflower, the peas, and your seeds to pick it up in 0 to 10 days. As a matter of fact, here's another good reason to have that product. The ocean solution product. We sell it here at Hippocrates. A little jar of it is like 25 bucks, but I'll tell you what, it'll last you forever because it's potent. But if you ever get a burn on your skin, or wounds, open wounds on your skin, that ocean solution will do incredible things, and it will do it incredibly quickly. And people, I had a friend of mine that was going through the program, and she had a burn on her skin, and for about 2 weeks, she was covering it up, putting aloe on it, putting all these natural products on it, and it still looked awful.
I gave her the ocean solution. I said, here, try this. Literally came back the next day and it looked like it was almost gone in just one day of using the ocean solution. So, for burns, for cuts, for wounds, for anything that your skin gets, what it does is it gives your cells on a molecular level, on that higher vibrational pattern level, right? You want to define nutrient? Go ahead. But whatever you want to call it, it feeds the cells on that level, so it heals them that much faster. I would actually take some of the fibers of the wheatgrass. You know how we teach you how to use them for poultices? Take the fibers, dip some of the fibers of the grass into some of the ocean solution, put that on your wound or your burn or whatever's going on in your skin, and watch the difference. It's an amazing product to have around the home. So you should have it for that reason. But don't have it to add to these. There's nothing you can add to it that's going to change it. And then you have people that want to add hydrogen peroxide or these grapefruit seed extract or these different things to get rid of the mold. There's no products you can do to all of a sudden get rid of that spiderwebby mold. Once you got it, it's yours. However, the airflow, the air circulation, remember what I said, will help prevent that spiderwebby stuff. Okay, those other products, hydrogen peroxide and all those things, you don't need them. Okay, now here's what we're going to get to. We talked about a lot of awesome things so far. I went back to these growers in Southern California now, and these professors of wheatgrass, I mean, I consider these guys #1 best in the field because they've been doing it for 15 years before I even got there. They knew what they were doing. They had beautiful grass, but a lot of them were pot-smoking hippies, basically, because they figured, man, I can grow grass now and it's legal. But here's what I got to learn from them when they finally opened the greenhouse doors and they let me in. I got to learn a lot of cool stuff. And I got to learn that even though you had all these perfect things, temperature, light, water, soil, the trays, everything was perfect, I still had mold on my wheatgrass. So then we started talking about seeds. And I said to them, where do you buy your seeds from? And they tell me. And I said, how come you're not getting it from the company that I've been getting it from? They said, oh, well, the wheat from that company doesn't grow well. And I said, what do you mean it doesn't grow well? It's hard winter wheat. That's what you just told me you're using. And they said, yeah, but from that company, it molds all the time. It doesn't germinate well. It doesn't grow good. And so now I get my answer. In other words, even though I had perfect everything, I still had mold problems. It was my seed. So I went to the library and looked it up back then. I found a journal that was written in 1989 that told me that there was 1,500 varieties of wheat out there in the world. And I'm like, great. And obviously your farmers really don't even know what variety they're using 80% of the time. They have no idea what variety they're using. They're just using the daughters and the cousins and whatever that they have by, and they're throwing them on the earth, right? So I went to a farm in Colorado and learned all this. And basically, okay, what happens is the farm grows wheat, they harvest the field, they take the seed, put it in the silo, and that's for bread, flour, dough, pasta, pastry, crackers, cookies, you know what wheat's made of. Okay, and now we're developing allergies to wheat. This is what the farmer taught me. Because after they harvest the field, there's a stalk and the husk of the plant sitting there. And they've learned to bundle that up and remove that from the soil so they can plant the next crop immediately. By doing that, they deplete that soil tenfold as fast as what it should have been. And so now they plant the next crop of wheat, and it's tenfold less than the one right before it, because now the earth's been depleted, the soil's been depleted. They actually need to let the husk and the stalk sit there, decompose, and then even plant a different crop, let it go to maturity, and sow that in before they plant the next crop of wheat. That will mean you get a more complete seed. No human being or mammal on this planet should be allergic to wheat. We are now because the soils have been depleted. Everybody understand that? So here's what's happening. I now try to buy my wheat seeds from farms that are aware of the soil depletion. Okay? And they actually now replenish that earth before they plant the seed, so this way it's in the seed. So even people with allergies should be able to eat the seed that came from a good farm. Now, ultimately, you're allergic usually to wheat because of the glutens. Once you soak and sprout wheat, it breaks that gluten down into simple sugars so that anybody can eat sprouted wheat once it's been soaked and sprouted. That's why we sprout beans. They're live foods. They're pre-digested that way. Easier for the body to assimilate. So if you have allergies to wheat, I'm allergic to wheat, but I can eat sprouted wheat. And then when it grows into a green, well, now it's a green. It's a vegetable. It's a plant. It has nothing to do with those actual glutens in wheat, so let that go. Take a deep breath. It's good. Okay. A lot of people ask me where I get my wheat seed from. I don't give that out because I used to give that out. And after about 2 years, I went to go buy more wheat and they told me they don't have any more because everybody started buying from my company. So now, what I'm going to tell you is, first of all, try your local health food store. Try co-ops. Okay, try those places that have an organic wheat seed. Try them out. See how they work for you. If they work fine, great. You found a good batch. Go buy more of it. But just buy a small amount of it first and see how it grows. Okay, because now we're going to use hard winter wheat. And I've known people to use the spring wheat. I haven't had much luck with spring wheat. I have better luck with the winter wheat. Okay, winter and spring wheat are basically the same seed. It's just harvested at a different time of year. But I have better luck with the winter wheat rather than the spring wheat. I've known people to use spring. I just don't have any luck with it. You can try it too if that's all you can find is a hard spring wheat. Okay, but hard winter is what I use. And now, 1,500 varieties. So here's what I do now. I start calling farms all over the U.S. And come to find out, wheat is grown all across this United States here. Every state has some kind of wheat field, wheat farm. And so I started ordering from who would sell them to me. The Kansas, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Montana, Texas, Washington. Whoever would sell me their samples of wheat, I would grow them. And I got all 10 samples in at one time. I planted them all. Now, at this point, I didn't change anything. I had soil good, temperature right, good light, good water. But every sample that I got in was growing different, completely different. I mean, some were growing 4 inches tall in 12 days. Some were 12 inches tall in 4 days. A lot of them had mold problems. Some of them weren't germinating. I mean, literally, everything that was happening throughout the year was happening right in front of me. And this is what I learned now, is that your seed has a lot to do with the way the grass grows. Absolutely. And I spent all this time giving you this introduction so you can learn a lot of the basics. Okay, I hope you got some things. But also that if your seeds or your grass still doesn't look good after doing this, it's probably because the seed you're using. So change the variety. Try it from somewhere different. Now, if you live in a different country, then use the seed that's indigenous to your country to grow your grass. Because ultimately, grass is grass is grass is grass, coming from the earth. Okay, that's where your higher vibration pattern is. That's where you get the most nourishment. That's why. It's the closest to the earth. But any kind of grass that you choose is going to be good. Is going to be complete all across the board. They might be slightly higher and lower in different things, but they're still going to be complete. So yeah, you want to go mow your yard and juice it? Go for it. Have a great time. Okay, we use wheat here in the States. Overseas, they use spelt and grow that as a grass. Some places do use barley. Maybe you're indigenous and rice is your main food, so use rice to grow for grass. Basically, whatever's indigenous to your country is what you should use for your seeds for your grass. Okay, remember, Ann Wigmore healed herself from lawn grass, not wheatgrass. Wheat was chosen because it is the better tasting of them all, and that's the truth. I go to New York City twice a year, and I do 500 ounces of juice in 2 days, and 498 people tell me the same thing. Wow, your grass is good. What'd you do? How come it's not making me sick? Not supposed to make you sick. Okay? Ideally, it should be palatable. It should be sweet. Do you all agree that this grass you've had here at Hippocrates has been somewhat palatable and sweet, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's what it should taste like when you do this at home. It should taste that good. Okay, if it is that bitter tasting, it's usually because it's old. Remember? Kind of like people. The older you get, the more bitter you get. Nothing? Nothing? Sometimes the jokes are bad. What do you want me to do? All right. So let's get back to the seeds. Okay? So you're going to use hard winter wheat for your wheatgrass. A hard red wheat, that's fine too, for your wheatgrass. If the word red's in there, don't worry about it, it's fine. For your sunflower, you're going to use small black or black oil. Okay, small black or black oil. Now I'll show you the wheat. Okay, this is what your wheat seed's going to look like. Your small black or black oil sunflower. Okay, now the reason I'm telling you small black or black oil, because they do make this big white striped one. I would not use this big white striped one. I don't have much luck with it. The shells don't pop off as easy. It's not as comfortable to use. Where the small black or the black oil, the shells pop off a lot better. You get more germination from them. And it's just a lot easier to work with. Now, small black or black oil for sunflower is sometimes hard to find. So I'm going to show you this in case you can't find it. Check this out. Now, I know you all think I'm crazy for holding up birdseed, right? But first of all, the bags say right on them, Small black, premium black oil, that's what I just told you to use for your sunflower, correct? Now, does it have to be an organic seed? Okay, when you're growing them for a green in the soil, the 4 things we're doing today, they don't have to be an organic seed to be an organic green. Now, I know you're looking at these and thinking, well, you know, it's not organic. Yeah, but first of all, look at the size of the bird on the package. If that little tiny bird can eat this seed and not keel over and die, I think you're going to be okay with growing it as a green. It's a lot less expensive to buy it this way. It's hit and miss, just kind of like wheat seed. I mean, you might get a good batch, you might get a bad batch. So try it out. I got this one at a local supermarket here, Publix. I got this one at Target. I'm sure you can find them at Walmarts and everywhere else out there. Just your pet stores. And buy your small black or black oil for your sunflower. Again, a lot less expensive. And this is food, so they do have to have some, I guess, higher standards on them. In other words, because they know if you throw these out in the yard, maybe your kids are going to get into them. Maybe they're going to grab them too. So they have to be somewhat safer. That's why I'm showing this to you. This is okay to use, okay, for your sunflower greens. If you can find a good organic black oil sunflower, then use it fine. That's okay too. Peas are snow peas or speckled peas. Okay, they're called snow peas. I've heard them also called peas for shoots or speckled peas. They've been called a couple different things. Snow peas, peas for shoots, or speckled. Okay, this is what you're going to grow for your pea greens. And then buckwheat is whole buckwheat. W-H-O-L-E is whole buckwheat. Okay, it has the shell on it. That's what you're going to use for your greens, your buckwheat lettuce. Okay, is the whole buckwheat. The buckwheat without the shell, that's hulled buckwheat or buckwheat groats. That's what you can make your tabbouleh or your cereal with, your buckwheaties that we make here at Hippocrates. You can use the hulled buckwheat. But to grow as a green, you want to use whole buckwheat. Now, those are the 4 different things we're doing today. And I put them in order as if you were to go home and actually do this. Top of the line, best of the best, number 1, most complete, wheatgrass. Remember, 2 ounces, all you need at any one given time. That's it. Empty stomach by itself is ideal. Okay, allow your body 15 minutes. After you drink it, allow your body 15 minutes to absorb it, digest it before you go mixing anything else. You can swallow some water afterwards if you want. Okay, but 2 ounces is the most. Now, I put sunflower second. That would be my second choice. If I was to only grow 2 things when I leave Hippocrates. Very first thing you want to grow, number 1, best of the best, wheatgrass, right? Second thing, sunflower. Makes a great drink. Put it in your green juice. Sunflower, a great source of lecithin. Okay, got a big stem on the sunflower, so it's going to give you a lot of juice. Also, the leaves of sunflower. Sunflower complete proteins. Wheatgrass complete proteins. Okay, the leaves of your sunflower, chlorophyll. Don't forget, chlorophyll helps the hemoglobin in the blood to distribute oxygen to the cells. Take a deep breath. Anybody not breathing? Raise your hand. Not breathing. A couple people in the back. Just lay down, someone will be right with you, it won't be me. So, wheat number 1, sunflower second, snow peas, the speckled pea seeds, the pea greens would be third. And then last but not least, buckwheat lettuce. Now buckwheat is still an awesome green. You just can't juice it, it just doesn't come out good in a juice. We've tried it for years, it doesn't make a good juice. But you can still eat the buckwheat lettuce. You can put it on your buffet. Okay, you can put it on your plates, your salads, whatever. You can throw buckwheat in there. Now, you would never need a lot of buckwheat. Just start out with a little bit at a time. That's all you need. It's very powerful. Okay, so wheatgrass number 1, sunflower, pea greens, and buckwheat lettuce. That is the order if you choose to do these when you leave here. That's how I would personally choose to do them myself. Now that we talked about all these cool things, and now that I brought up some animals, let's get into animals. Some people have animals. Some people love their animals more than they love other people. Raise your hand. So, ultimately, okay, vet bills end up costing a lot of money. Here's what you can do. Now, I had a small black cat years ago, and I've told this story a million times. Ultimately, my cat stopped eating, stopped cleaning herself, stopped drinking water. 3 days went by, I didn't know what to do. So I figured grass works for people, maybe it'll work for my little cat, I didn't know. So I grabbed her off the shelf where she hung out for 3 days and didn't move. I put her on my table, I sucked up some wheatgrass juice with those little bulb syringes. And a little cat, so I sucked up a little less than a half an ounce of juice. I grabbed the back of her neck and started to shoot the juice down her throat. With every ounce of energy she had left in her frail, dying body, she tried to kill me. I overpowered her, held her down, shot it down her throat. Now, I don't recommend doing this on a white carpet. Came right back up, sucked up some more, grabbed the back of her head, shot it down her throat. I did this 3 times a day because my cat wasn't eating anything. So 3 times a day, I gave her some juice. True story. On the 4th day, when I walked into my office, she saw me. She jumped off the shelf. She ran right up to my leg, which she's never done before. I put her on the table. I sucked up the juice. I grabbed the back of her neck, and she put her head back and started lapping up the juice right out of the syringe. I could literally now put it in a bowl, and she'd go over and drink it. And now what I noticed is I had a brand new cat. She was doing all the stupid stuff, chasing dust balls, and she was drinking water again. So now I said, awesome, I can feed her now. So I got a can of cat food, I opened it up, I put it on the concrete, she went over to it, smelled it, and tried to dig up the concrete with her nails to bury the can of cat food that I just put down for her. And I'm looking at her going, it's cat food, you're a cat, what's the problem? But she didn't want it, she wanted to bury it. So then I figured I'll try dry food. So I put dry cat food, nothing, she walked right by it. So then I figured I don't know what to do, so I tried human food. Well, what I thought at that time to be human food, I tried hamburgers, hot dogs, fish, chicken, I don't know. She wasn't eating any of it. She was walking right by him. Now, I also don't recommend doing enemas and implants with your animals. Don't do that. That's not good. So, I'm trying to figure out what to feed her, so I do the grass thing again. Now we're on day 5. I don't know what to do, but something comes in my head here. Now, I'm going to tell you the rest of the story, and I don't tell you to shock you. This is not for shock value. This is because I learned something here. Anybody remember Tom and Jerry growing up as a kid, watching Tom and Jerry? Okay, Tom the cat, Jerry the mouse. What did Tom always want to do? Eat Jerry, right? I don't know why. But I knew how to buy Jerry at a pet store, so I went and got Jerry. Excuse me if you're watching this and you're from PETA. I went and bought Jerry, I put it down, my cat ran right over to it and ate Jerry. Right in front of me, ate the whole thing. I don't tell you for shock value. It's not why I'm telling you this story. I'm telling you because I had to learn something here. And I had to wake up to something right now. And you know what that was? Live food. Everybody hear that? It wasn't right, wrong, good, bad about eating that way. Let go of that. Stop judging people for their choice of food. Let that go right now. Take a deep breath. Stop getting into how raw are you. Give me a break. Stop segregating people for their foods. You can go anywhere in this world and eat raw if that's your choice. Let's face it. If a buffet had everything on it, can't we all walk up to it and choose whatever we want? And can't we all still go to the same place for that buffet? Yes. So let the judgment go about people and how they eat. Food is a choice. Food is not a god, it's not a cult, it's not a religion. It is a choice. It's your choice to do whatever it is you want when you leave here. I'm not going to tell you what you should and shouldn't do. I don't have that power. Don't give it to me. I don't want it. I got enough problems. But what I will tell you is when I was buying Jerry twice a day and putting it down and watching my cat eat it, here's what I got, live food. This cat instinctually knew to eat something living than anything dead or cooked or processed I tried to give it. So that's what I got. So I fed her twice a day. I didn't know what to do. So now on the 4th day, I see her playing with Jerry before she eats him, and I felt bad. So I couldn't do it anymore. So now I'm trying to think, what am I going to feed my cat? And then it struck me, I work at a place that serves live food. So I went to the buffet, I grabbed some siege sauce, some guacamole, I grabbed anything I could find, and I went back down to my cat, and I put them all down there, and sure enough, she went over to every one of them and started eating them. So I had a live food cat. I got it, it all made sense. And I had a brand new cat. Now I heard it will heal the feline leukemia in cats. They say there's no cure for that one. It will help with arthritis, with tumors, with cancer, with eyesight problems, with fleas, with ticks. And what it takes us as human beings 6 months, 7 years to go through with our bodies, that cat or dog goes through it in about 5 days. Their metabolisms are faster, lifespans are shorter, they're going to get it. So if you have a sick animal, it's going to save you a lot of money on vet bills. Here's what you're going to do. Okay, about 20 minutes before you feed your animal, give them the juice for 5 days. Do the juice. Do the live wheatgrass juice. That's going to make the biggest difference. For 5 days, give them a little less than a half an ounce twice a day. About 20, 30 minutes before you feed them. Give them a little less than a half an ounce twice a day. Okay, for 5 days. After the 5 days, if you want to keep your animal in balance, then take some blades of grass, chop it up, and mix it in with their food. That will keep them in balance. Everybody hear that? Okay, so twice a day, about 20 to 30 minutes before you feed your animal, a little less than a half an ounce for a cat, maybe a half an ounce for a dog. And then if you want to keep your animal in balance after the 5 days, you'll see a difference, by the way, in those 5 days. But after that 5 days, just take some blades of grass, chop it up, and mix it in with their food once a day. That's fine. Okay, remember how I said, your animals instinctually know to go to grass, usually when they're not feeling well. They know to go chew on grass because they're going to get sick from it, because it's going to help them. That's the whole point, and that's why they're chewing on it. Take a deep breath again. Okay, so that's how you do it for your animals. And I know, unfortunately, a lot of us are thinking, well, man, you really want to take care of your animals, and there's this, you know this? You can actually buy health insurance for your animals that's alternative. Can't get that for humans yet, but you can get it for your animals. Go figure. People want to take care of their animals more than other people sometimes. But, everybody breathing? We're all good with that. Okay. So, a little less than a half an ounce for a cat, maybe half an ounce for a dog, twice a day, 30 minutes before you feed them. And then just take some handfuls of grass, just a couple blades, that's all you need. Chop it up, mix it in with their food. Now let's get into growing. I know I spent a lot of time on conditions, but I had to give you some rules. So let's grow some grass. I'll grow it right now. I got my trays. I put my little rack together. I'm ready to start my growing. I'm going to grab my soil. Okay, I'm going to put some soil in the tray. Fill the tray up about halfway. Fill your tray up about halfway with soil. You can't use too much, you can't use too little. Okay, fill the tray up about halfway with soil. Since we were on the animals, someone sent me this once. It's called Pet Pals. Little cat with a knife and a fork and a bib ready to eat some grass, right? You've all seen the little pet grass in stores and whatnot. And this is 100% natural wheatgrass seed, 1 ounce of seed. Directions how to grow it for $4. For 1 ounce of 100% natural, I'm not even sure what that means, wheatgrass seed. Anybody know how many ounces in a pound? 16, right? 16 times $4. $64 for 1 pound of 100% natural wheatgrass seed. $64 a pound. Anybody want 100% organic wheat seed? It's going to be about $2 a pound. So if anybody wants to get into this business, let me know. I'll do that one with you too. Geniuses. So I'm going to fill the tray up about halfway. I'm using my hands for this, right? I'm just going to break up the clumps if you got clumps in your soil. There used to be this big mirror here so you can see what I was doing. No, there wasn't, but we like one. So I'm just going to break this up. And what I'm going to do now you can watch me here because this is very simple. I'm spreading it around, just kind of making it nice and even. If you see some wood sticks in there, that's okay. You're not going to hurt anything. And then I'm going to take another tray. You watching this? Put it right on top and tamp it down. This is going to give you a nice firm mat to spread your seeds around. That's why I tamped it down. Makes it a lot easier so the seed doesn't mix in with the soil. Okay, now I don't want to keep getting dirty every day. So I'm going to go ahead. Remember I told you to buy extra trays, right? So I'm going to do another setup right on top of that one. This way I don't have to keep getting dirty. If I only need 1 tray a week and I set up 3 trays at once, I don't have to touch the soil again for 3 weeks, right? Because I got them all off to the side. So this is really easy to do. So I'm setting up another tray right on top of it, spreading out the soil, taking another tray, put it back on top, and tamping it down. Okay, so there we go. I got 2 of them set up now. You can keep going. If you bought 5 trays, set them all up at once. Why not? Make it as easy as you can when you leave. So now I got my soil set up. Now let's get into the wheat seed. Now this is all in the notes, and if you're watching this DVD, a little thing of notes came along with this DVD, and it says this information right in there. Okay, this is the easy part of growing, is soaking your seeds 8 to 12 hours overnight, the easiest thing to do. Before you go to bed, put water in them. When you wake up in the morning, rinse them. So you're going to soak them overnight, 8 to 12 hours, plenty. Okay, don't ever go over 24 hours in soaking anything. Over 24 hours, you're going to drown your seeds. So 8 to 12 for your wheat seed and sunflower and buckwheat and peas is fine. And then you're going to take them out of the water and sprout them for 16 to 24 hours. So I drain the water off, and then I'm going to rinse them, like before work, after work, before bed. Give them 3 rinses a day. And I'm just going to sprout them for 1 day, basically. Okay, so I soaked them overnight, rinsed them in the morning, took the water off them, and then just for that 1 day now, I'm rinsing them just 3 times. And now, the next morning, they have a nice little tail on them. Okay, the next morning now, they have a little tail on them. And just when you can see that little tail start to come out, that's when you want to go ahead and plant them. You don't want that tail to go too long because when you plant them, they end up breaking it off and they have to grow it back. So just when it starts, so 16 to 24 hours of sprouting. Then now I'm going to plant them, which means covering the soil completely with seed. All right, soaked them, sprouted them. You can eat sprouted wheat, by the way, I told you that, right? Sprouted wheat, very tasty. You can have it in the morning, have it for breakfast. Sprouted quinoa, sprouted millet, also good breakfast grains. So now I'm going to take this, remember as far as for one small tray, a small tray is a ½ pound of seed, and it comes to about 1.5 cups of seed. By the time you soak it and sprout it, it's going to be about 1.5 cups of seed. But it starts out with a ½ pound, and now I'm going to spread it around. Now I'm using a little paper cup. This is a little Dixie cup. I just cut that rim off there, but it's a little Dixie cup. And this just kind of acts as a rolling pin, just so I can spread it around, so I can be gentle on them. And I'm covering the soil completely with seed. Now this is going to look like a lot of seed, but it's not. Okay, in the summer months, you might want to plant a little bit thinner, allowing more air circulation. That will help in the summer. Planting a little bit thinner in the summer months just allows more airflow to get through to prevent that little spiderwebby moldy stuff. But right now, if it looks like I planted too much, don't worry about this particular tray. Soak less next time. Okay, don't worry about it. Just soak less seed next time. If you didn't soak enough and you have too many soil spots, you couldn't cover it all, don't worry about this tray. Just soak a little bit more seed next time. It's a feel too. So a ½ pound of seed for small trays, 1 pound of seed for large trays. And then, after I planted it, I'm now going to water it heavy but gently. Heavy but gently means a watering can that comes out like your shower head. You know what I'm talking about? That gentle rain water. Okay, a lot of people have that attachment right by the kitchen sink. You have that hose that pulls out right by the kitchen sink and sprays like your shower. Okay, sometimes you don't want to go full throttle because you don't want to mess up the seeds. But you can use that attachment right by your kitchen sink. Give it a good, heavy, but gentle water. Make sure you see it drip. That's when you know you watered it enough. And then, after you gave it that heavy water, take an empty tray, put it right on top of that seed. By covering it, you keep it wet. It keeps it from drying out. Now your soil stays wet for 24 hours because you watered it heavy. But the seed's not in the soil, it's on top of the soil. So you want to make sure that seed doesn't dry out. So I'm covering it with another tray, put it on the bottom shelf of your rack. Okay? Now that's it. I'm going to work, I'm coming home, finishing out my day. Right before I go to bed, remember why I told you to buy this spray bottle? No, I haven't told you yet. Here's why. I'm going to take that tray off the rack, uncover it, take my spray bottle, and I'm going to mist that seed. Mist the sides, mist the middle, mist the corners. Okay, spend about 30 seconds making sure you give it a really good water. You already watered it heavy once a day, because you got to do that. But this is now just misting it for the first 3 days. Missed it a second time. These also make wonderful squirt guns. I can hit anybody in the room from here. Oh, sorry. Just kidding. Okay. So give it a good heavy mist, and then cover it back up, put it back on your rack, go to bed. The next morning you wake up, take it off the rack, heavy water by the sink, give it a couple minutes, wait for it to finish draining, put it back on the rack, cover it back up. Everybody understand this? For 3 days. For 3 days, heavy but gentle in the morning, and then mist in the evening. Very simple. With everything. Sunflower is a little bit different. I'm not there yet. Don't jump ahead of me. But I'm going to show you just what's a little bit different with sunflower. But everything else is the same. Heavy water once a day in the morning. Keep it covered. Mist it in the evening for 3 days. Now here we go. The morning of the 4th day. The morning of the 4th day. Everybody watching this? Watch this. This is the morning of the 4th day. I can already pull this tree. It's a piece of sod now, right? You know what I'm talking about. And this has only been, literally, 3 full days. The morning of the 4th day, when you can pull this out and you got the roots all grabbed in there, now keep it uncovered. Don't cover it back up now. Just keep it uncovered. And just water it once a day heavy and do everything that we spent the first hour of this lecture doing. Keep it in the indirect sunlight. Don't let direct sunlight hit it. Keep airflow on it if it's hot. You know everything that we talked about. And water it heavy once a day. That's all you need to do now, once it gets to this stage. Okay, it's going to look a little bit yellow, but it's going to green up in 1 day. Don't worry about that. It might be a little bit yellow, but don't worry. In 1 day, it's going to turn green already. So 3 days, you kept it covered, you watered it heavy but gentle in the morning, and you missed it in the evening. On the 4th morning, you can pull it out. All you need to do now is water it heavy once a day, rotate it up the rack as it grows, and now you're going to start to get ready to harvest your wheatgrass. When it's ready to harvest is when a second growth or a jointing stage starts. In other words, you're going to have your first blade of grass, and then you're going to see a second blade starting right at the bottom. You're going to start to see it coming out there. That's the jointing stage. That's when you know it's ready to harvest. So many people say, how many days does it take? Or how tall does it have to be before you cut it? If you remember my story about wheat seed, they all grow different. So you can never go by days and never go by how tall it is, because all seeds do different things. But the one thing that is consistent is they will all eventually split and start a second blade. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to look for that split. Now I'm going to pull a pretty good example. So hopefully my camera can get that there. Okay. You'll see your first blade of grass. You got your shoot down there at the bottom. The shoot's down there at the bottom. And then your first long blade up to the top where my other hand is. And then you see a second blade starting to shoot out right at that bottom there. When you see that second blade, that's when you harvest your wheatgrass. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, no matter where you live, no matter what seed you're using, watch for that second split, that jointing stage. Now you can always harvest it a little bit early if you want, but when you see it split is when you cut the entire tray. Now I'm going to pass this around too for those people who aren't buying this DVD. So, pass that around. Now, you can use a pair of scissors to cut your wheatgrass. Everybody have a pair of scissors at home? Scissors works excellent to cut your wheatgrass. Okay, we're using razor sharp knives here at Hippocrates, but you can use a pair of scissors, works excellent. All you need to know about harvesting is cut as low as you can, but right above the seed. Get as much of that white layer as you can. The white has a lot of the essentials down there. A lot of your high vibrational pattern is down there, which means nutrient. A lot of that high content of nutrient, a lot of minerals. That white layer is a lot of lecithin. Grains, high percentage of lecithin. Good to have that white. So we cut as low as we can. Now there always is going to be like a greenish, bluish mold on the seeds. You know, in 18 years I've been growing grass, I see that all the time. Can't really do anything about that, but that's not a bad thing because we're always cutting above that. So don't worry about that mold. The spiderwebby stuff that grows up the grass, if you get that, that's when you want to increase your airflow, your air circulation, right? And then just rinse the grass off before you juice it, if you get that spiderwebby, which we talked about already. Okay? After you harvest your wheatgrass, okay, you're basically going to have this whole mat to throw away or compost, whatever you need to do with it. But after you harvest your wheatgrass, now this grass that's been cut will store in the refrigerator for a week. Or you can put them in green bags. They're called green bags or Everfresh bags. They used to be called Everfresh and now they're called green bags. But you can put them in those green bags, which are breathable bags, and the grass that's been harvested will now go almost 2 weeks and retain its value. Okay, that's the cool thing, is after you cut it, it stays fresh. It stays dormant in the refrigerator. That's the whole idea. Don't let it sit there and grow every day and just cut it as you need it, because it ages 40 years every day that you don't cut it. It needs to be cut all at once at one time. That's how it stays fresh. Okay, so this goes in the refrigerator. 1 week, 10 days, 2 weeks in the Everfresh bags. Okay, the green bags. Now, after you harvest the entire tray, you'll think, can I keep watering it and let it grow back? It will grow back a second time. The second growth lost about 50 to 75% of its nutrient content. So we only harvest one time. Remember, wheat's an annual seed. It's not perennial. It doesn't keep growing and growing and growing. So you only get it one time. After you harvest it once, you have to start all over again with new seed and new soil. Just start the whole process again. Okay, you can lift that one right out, like I said, compost it, clean your tray. Do clean the tray out after you cut it. Okay, you can clean it with whatever you feel comfortable and safe, the hydrogen peroxide, grapefruit seed extract. If you feel comfortable with those things, go ahead. Okay, clean your trays after you use it, and then go ahead after they dry out and start your new one. Again, the trays are reusable. They last you pretty much a lifetime. So with wheatgrass, when it splits, cut the whole thing. If you do want to grow it back a second time, Maybe people have animals that like to just go up and chew on it. Maybe your cat's been getting in your grass. By the way, if you're doing this outdoors, watch out for every animal you can think of. Cats, dogs, skunks, possums, birds, raccoons, armadillos. Then you have your goats, your cows, your horses. Anything that's in a 1 mile radius will breathe this out and come chewing on your grass, and they'll break through your screen to get to it. So if you're doing this outdoors, watch out for those kind of animals. Okay, but indoors, if your cat's wanting the grass, grow it back a second time and let them have that. Let them play with the second growth. That's okay. Okay, but the second growth lost about 50 to 75% of its nutrient value. So we only harvest one time. Unfortunately, a lot of health food stores are growing it back a second time because they can double their profits. If you think your health food store is growing it back a second time, ask them to look at one blade of grass. If that one blade of grass is perfectly dome at the top, it's got that cone, then it's the first cutting. Okay, if that blade of grass that they pull out and let you look at has kind of that flat top, like that Bart Simpson had, okay, that means it's been cut and grown back a second time. Okay, so that's all you have to look for. If you think your health food store or juice bar, if they're doing this to you, just ask them to look at one blade. And again, if the grass doesn't taste good, it's 9 times out of 10, it's old. It hasn't been watered correctly. If it's been done right, wheatgrass is the reason why we use wheat seed, is because of the taste value. It is more palatable. It is a little bit sweeter. It does go down a lot easier. Okay, so if it's got that flat top, it's been grown the second time. Now, if you get those little flies, those fruit flies, the big red bug eyes, you know what I'm talking about? Take a banana peel, throw a banana peel in the garbage. 2 days later, you get the flies coming out of your garbage, right? Anybody know where they're coming from? I don't either. I just hope someone knows. Just kidding. They're basically a microorganism. They're in everything. In other words, as soon as something starts to rot or mold or break down, as soon as that happens, those eggs hatch, and that's what those little flies eat. Those little fruit flies are eating mold. Not a bad thing. Circle of life. Beautiful thing. But if you see those little flies on your grass, it's because your grass is getting a little moldy, and that's what the flies are eating. So if you see the flies on your grass, increase your air circulation. That gets rid of the mold. That will get rid of your flies. Okay, in the meantime, you can use these little fly sticks, these fly traps. They sell these, in the Walmarts, Home Depots, whatever. But basically all they are is a paper towel roll with glue around it. There's no insecticides, no insecticide vapors. They use these in kitchens, nurseries, hospitals, restaurants, supermarkets. They are safe. Not the most humane thing to do, because little flies get off, they get stuck to the glue, and they can't get off the glue, and they're still alive. So you walk up to them with a little pin and just put them out of their misery. Don't do that. Okay, that's the flies. Another thing that works for the flies, if the air circulation doesn't work, try a vacuum cleaner. You can suck up all the flies with a vacuum cleaner. Don't put the vacuum cleaner back in the closet, though, because the flies are still alive. They will infest your closets. All right, so if you get the flies, you got mold, increase your airflow. That gets rid of the mold. That gets rid of the flies. Again, if you have that spiderwebby stuff, after you harvest the grass, just rinse it off before you juice it. It's still fine to use. We're finished with wheatgrass. I'm going to tell you the differences with sunflower right now. We're almost done. Bear with me a little bit longer. Okay, with sunflower, for those of you who want to grow the black oil sunflower, it's going to be a little bit less seed per tray. Okay, a little bit less seed per tray. In other words, remember I said 1 pound of everything? Except sunflower is about 3/4 of a pound for a large tray. And then less than 1/2 pound for a small tray with sunflower. So it's less seed per tray. That's the first thing that's different. If I don't mention it, it's the same. Everybody got that? If you don't hear me mention the difference, it's because it's the same as everything else. Now with sunflower, after you plant the sunflower, so in other words, you soak it the same, you sprout it the same. After you plant the sunflower, what you're going to do now is take a tray that has soil in it. After you watered the sunflower, you planted it, you watered it, take a tray that has weight in it, that has soil in it, and put it right on top of that sunflower. Okay, leave the weight tray on top for up to 5 days. Okay, I'm telling you the differences, that's all. Again, if you didn't hear me mention it, it's the same as what we just talked about. So leave the weight on top of it for 5 days. Still take it off once a day, water heavy, put it back on. This basically acts as a removable layer of soil. So it keeps them dark, keeps them wet, keeps them warm, perfect environment. And why we put weight on top of them is it forces them to grow even at the same time. That's what the weight does. You get a nice even sunflower. So So I keep the weight on top of them, water them once a day. Every day I see them starting to grow, I start to feel bad about putting weight on top of them. Don't feel bad, you're not going to hurt them. You literally could be standing in this tray and it will push you up and out of the way when it wants to grow. Anybody notice when concrete cracks? What happens when there's a crack in the concrete? Grass, weeds start to grow, right? What do you think's causing the crack? If they can break concrete, this little half-pound tray is not going to hurt them. So don't feel bad about this. Put the weight on top of them up to 5 days until the sunflower pushes the tray up so you can do this. It's like sliding back and forth. As soon as the sunflower pushes the tray up above the lip of the tray it's in, take it off, still watering heavy every day. Take another tray, turn it upside down, put it back on top for another day or two. Notice I didn't say anything about winter, spring, summer, fall, because basically the only thing you need to know about hot and cold is what I talked to you about of temperature, but also in the summer months things grow faster in the heat, and in the winter things grow slower in the cold. That's really all you need to know. So in the summer months, all these products are going to be about 7 to 10 days. That's average, 7 to 10 days. In the winter months, it might be 10 to 14 days, just depends. So that's really all you need to know. But like I said, wheatgrass splits at the bottom, that's when you know it's ready. Sunflower, I went 5 days with the weight and then 2 days in the dark. This keeps them dark, which forces them to grow tall so they don't green up and mature at a short stage. You get nice tall sunflower this way. So 5 days with the weight, 2 days in the dark. And now uncover it. Now it's been a total of 7 days. They're pretty tall, but they look really bad. They're all yellow. The shells are all stuck to the leaves. You think you made a mistake, but you didn't. Because now in another 2 or 3 days, they're going to green up, they're going to open up, they're going to pop their shells off, and you will have beautiful sunflower ready to harvest and eat. Now this is a full tray of sunflower. Okay, and as you can see, there's not that many shells on there anymore. That's why we use the small black or the black oil, because it pushes them off. It stays slippery, especially when they get wet, when you water them every day, and they slide right off the leaves. Now, if they're not coming off the leaves as easy, all you need to do is on that 7th day or that 8th day, okay, as soon as you uncovered them and all the shells are still on there, just get them wet. Spray them, maybe take a little mister, spray those sunflower leaves, wait a few minutes, spray them again, and then just rub your hand across the top of the leaves and it'll slide them right off. It'll get all those little black shells off. But that's why I use the black oil rather than this big white stripe one. I don't like that big white stripe one. Never had good luck with it. Now, sunflower is ready to harvest just like wheatgrass. Remember I said wheatgrass splits at the bottom? Sunflower actually splits at the top. You'll have have a long stem, you spread it open, and you'll see another set of leaves going right in the middle there. Right out of the 2 leaves, you'll see another small set just popping out. That's when you want to harvest your sunflower, when you can see it split at the top. Wheatgrass splits at the bottom, sunflower splits at the top. Now I'm going to pass these around, don't eat them. I'm going to pass these around so you can see the sunflower splitting at the top. Again, you'll have your 2 leaves and you'll see a second set of leaves shooting up in the middle. That's when you harvest your sunflower. You can also grow sunflower to maturity. Everybody know what a sunflower looks like? Right? Beautiful. Okay, yellow all around it, brown in the middle. Then all of a sudden it falls over, right? And it dies. Okay, but when it dies, I don't know if you can get this. As soon as it dies, you can tear off all that brown that's in the middle. And inside and underneath that brown, you're going to see sunflower seeds stacked kind of beautifully, right all together, right inside of each other. And one sunflower seed will yield anywhere from 100 to 300 seeds out of one sunflower. So I'm going to pass this around. So you try not to pick it out, don't play with it, just pass it around so you can see what it looks like. But what you do is you wait till it dies, then you cut the head off, let it dry out about 3 or 4 days in the sun. Watch out for birds and everything else because they know what's inside that sunflower. They like the meat. By the way, if you do get rodents, all you have to do, if you get rodents eating your seeds or eating your sunflowers, if you have a patio or whatever they're breaking through, okay, block off where they're breaking through and put the seeds on the outside of that area that they're breaking through. In other words, feed them before they get in there. They get used to eating them outside, they won't come back in. But you have to feed them for a little bit. It won't take long before they forget that they're inside. But when it falls over and dies, let it dry out in the sun for a couple days. And then you can tear out all those seeds in there, and then take those seeds and put them in the freezer. Put them in the freezer for about 2 or 3 weeks, and that fakes them out. It makes them think that they've gone through a whole dormancy stage, a winter period. Okay, and then after the 2 or 3 weeks in the freezer, you can take them out and then actually grow another tray of sunflower. They're ready to sprout again. So you can harvest your own sunflower seeds. Wheat, I wouldn't suggest it, but sunflower you can. Okay, now as far as seed storage goes, for everything that we did today, all you have to do is store them dry. Everything we grow today will basically last a lifetime. Just keep them room temperature and dry. Don't keep them in the refrigerator. Just room temperature and dry. And everything that we're growing today, all 4 things, basically last you a lifetime. So I'm going to pass this around so you can see what that looks like. Okay, so sunflower is the same thing. Harvest the entire tray. It lasts 1 week in the refrigerator. Just like wheatgrass. Up to 2 weeks in the green bags. Okay, but harvest the entire tray of sunflower, pair of scissors, cut low, only grow 1 time. Start all over again, new seed, new soil. The pea greens. Okay, pea greens are just about 8 or 9 days. There is no set time for peas and buckwheat as far as when to harvest them. You kind of get a feel for those. Buckwheat, basically, when all the shells pop off the leaves, okay, that's when buckwheat's ready to harvest. Okay, when it looks like a whole green field. That's when you harvest your buckwheat. Now, buckwheat's very perishable. Only lasts about a day or 2 in the refrigerator. It is very perishable. Okay, and it doesn't juice, so that's why I put buckwheat last on the list. It's a good sprout. And then pea greens will also go a week to 10 days, up to 2 weeks in the green bags for pea greens. If your pea greens are stringy tasting, okay, that's because they got a little bit old. If they taste a little bit stringy, they're a little bit older. You can still juice them, however. You can still use them for juice. Don't throw them away. Remember what I said about green juice? Keep the greens together. That's all. Okay? Keep the greens together when making the green juice. Doesn't matter what green it is. Just keep them together. Now the pea greens, if they're stringy, they're a little bit older. Cut them next time. Just cut them a little bit younger. Okay? And then they'll be a little bit sweeter and they won't be as stringy. So we covered a lot of things today. Okay, now I'm going to take you to our, show you about juicing. I'm going to kind of show for the DVD listeners. I'm going to show you a little more hands-on, take you through step by step with a couple different things that we talked about today. The rest of you can hang around here and I will answer questions and I'll talk to you as long as you need me to.
Okay, hello again everybody. This is wheatgrass, day 1. It's been soaked, it's been sprouted, and it's been planted on top of the soil. As you can see, all the seeds have a little white tail coming out of them. This is the first day. We planted it and we gave it a good heavy water. And then we're going to cover it up. We're actually going to take another tray and put it right on top of the seed. So this way, that seed stays wet. It doesn't dry out. So after you gave it a good heavy water, cover it up with an empty tray. Put it right on top of there. Uncover it twice a day, once in the morning for a heavy water, cover it back up, and then once in the evening for a quick mist. Okay, a light mist on the seeds. That's day 1. Now we're going over to day 2. Day 2, you can actually see that little sprout that was coming out is turning into a blade of grass, and you have 2 little roots coming out as well. A lot of people tend to see mold at this stage. It is impossible for day 2, day 3 to have mold on the grass, on the seeds. What you really could see if you look close is that the seed actually has 2 little roots that are coming out of it, and those roots have tiny little hairs on them. Those hairs, when the grass hasn't been watered, when the seed is drying out, those hairs come out. It's kind of like our intestinal colon tract has a cilia. The root hairs are actually the cilia. It's the seed looking for its moisture, its water, its food. So it's not really mold at this young stage. It's just the hairs of the roots. Go ahead and water it again, and that will go away. So this is day 2. Your tray is still very full. You're keeping it covered, watering it heavy once a day, misting it in the evening. On day 3, actually starting to see a blade of grass grow, and those roots are getting into the soil now. So you can see that the seeds were pretty close together. That's all right. That's fine. Okay, so this would be day 3. It is still covered. We're still keeping it covered. Heavy water in the morning, mist in the evening. So that's what your tray pretty much should look like on day 3. But it's all fully growing in there. On day 4, it's already pushed that tray up, and now you can actually lift it out of the soil. You can lift it out of the tray, and you can see that soil there, and the roots have now engulfed the entire soil, and you can lift it right out of that tray. That's on the 4th day. Now once you can lift it out of the tray like that, once you can kind of lift it up, then you don't need to cover it any longer. Now you just keep it uncovered, keep it in the shade, don't let the direct sunlight hit it. And this would be day 4. On day 4, it's already grown probably another 2 inches, and you're starting to see a nice little white layer down there at the bottom. Now that white is a very good source of lecithin. A lot of essentials are down there. Remember, the closest to the earth is where you're going to get your most vibration. You can call it nutrient if you wish. It's that vibrational level that we need the most, but that's the closest thing to the earth. So you want as much of that white layer as you can when you harvest your grass. And again, you can still lift it out. We're watering it heavy once a day. You don't need to mist it or cover it any longer. So that would be day 5. Day 6, it's grown another inch or so. Day 7, as you can see, it's still growing probably another inch. And day 8. On day 8 is when you're going to actually see the second growth start to happen. That's when you know when it's time to harvest your wheatgrass, when you can see that second blade. Now, of course, you can look, okay, the ones that have that second shoot coming out down at the bottom, okay, that's what you're going to start looking for. There it is for you. Okay, it's right down at the bottom. Here's a better close-up of it. You have your seed down here, your little white stem, your white shoot, and then your first blade of grass and a second blade of grass. When you can see that split is when you want to start harvesting it. That's when you want to start cutting it. Okay, don't let it grow every day and just cut it as you need it. Cut the entire tray at once, store that cut grass in the refrigerator. Okay, and there's your cycle. Next we're going to go with sunflower. And here we are with sunflower. Now the thing that's a little bit different with sunflower is mentioned in the DVD, but I can tell you it's less seed per tray. So wheatgrass, you planted 1 pound of seed per tray. Sunflower, you're going to plant 3/4 pound of seed per tray, per the large tray. I've been showing you all our large trays in this demonstration here. As you can see, the seeds have a little tail coming out. We are using the black oil or small black sunflower, not the big white striped one. We're using the small black or black oil. Once that little tail pops out, that's when you go ahead and plant it on top of the soil, give it a good heavy water. And with sunflower, we actually put a tray on top of it that has weight in it. In other words, there's soil in the tray that covers it. So this actually has some weight to it. It weighs a good 2 or 3 pounds, and we're putting it right on top of that sunflower. And the reason for the weight is to force them to grow even. With wheatgrass, you didn't necessarily have to do the weight on top of it. You could if you chose to. So we went ahead and we watered the sunflower heavy after we planted it, put that weighted tray right on top of it. That's day 1. Day 2, we uncovered it, gave it a good heavy water again, and put that weight tray back on top of it. You can see now those roots are starting to go into the soil. And there's kind of a good example of that cilia. You can see it really close there. It looks like mold, but ultimately it's really just the root hairs. When you water it, all those little hairs disappear. It's not mold. Okay, so that would be day 2. Day 3 pretty much looks the same as day 2. They're still just getting into the soil. Okay, we keep them covered with that heavy weighted tray. Even though they're starting to sprout now, they're still covered with that heavy weighted tray. Water them just once a day. Give them a good heavy water, make sure they drip. Now this would be the next day. This would be day 4. They're starting to push up now. Starting to push that weighted tray right up and off. When it gets to the point where you can actually slide that weighted tray, for example, if this was that weighted tray, if you could slide that tray back and forth without it hitting the other tray it's in, that's when it's time to take it off. Okay, but keep that weight on top of it for at least 4 days. So maybe the 5th day you would take it off until that sunflower comes right up to the lip of the tray it's in. It pushes that weighted tray to the point where it's going to knock it off. So that would be your next day. That would be day 4. So now day 5, we actually took the weighted tray off and we turned it upside down and put it back on top. Okay, now this is a stage that is kind of unfamiliar to most. Once it gets to the point where we actually took that weighted tray off, we're going to take another tray, an empty one, turn it upside down, and put it right on top of there. That's to keep them dark for another 2 days. That's what actually that does. By keeping them dark, you force them to grow tall first. They don't green up as fast. So they're going to look really yellow. The shells are going to be stuck to the leaves. You're going to think you made a mistake, but you haven't. Now your next day, it's starting to get taller. It's still very yellow. Actually, we've had these uncovered for about 2 hours this morning already, so they're starting to turn green. They went from yellow in 2 hours and turned green. Okay, we kept that tray on top upside down for 2 more days. We just uncovered this today. So you can see it's a pretty good size before we let them green up. Now those shells are still kind of stuck to the leaves, those small black shells. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our hand when it's wet. In other words, the first thing in the morning when they're still dewy, we're going to take our hand, just rub it across the top there. You can kind of give it a good hard rub. Catch it early in the morning, or go ahead and spray it with a little spray bottle, get it wet, mist it, and then rub your hand across the top. And as you can see, a lot of them kind of slid right off the leaves. That's the great thing about the small black, the black oil. See the difference? Those have the shells sticking to them, and these, the shells are pretty much off the leaves by now. So rub your hand across the top. And now, they're going to green up in 1 day. That's what they're going to look like the next day. Starting to get green and full. You still have a couple of those shells. You can go ahead and rub your hand across the top again. Get the rest of those off. And then I kind of exaggerated with a day or so. So this would probably be 9 days. But then you have a full, beautiful tray of sunflower. And out of 3/4 pound of seed, it's going to yield almost 4 pounds of fresh sunflower greens. So you really get a lot of sunflower out of one tray, out of just 3/4 pound of seed. Sunflower is ready to harvest kind of like wheatgrass is. It splits. So you can kind of see there, right in the middle, you see a second set of leaves starting to shoot up. Have your long stem, great source of lecithin, chlorophyll in the top here, oxygen, and then you spread those 2 leaves apart, and there's that second blade, that split. Sunflower splits at the top, wheatgrass splits at the bottom. And that's when it's ready to harvest, when you can see those second set of leaves starting to shoot up there. Okay, so cut the whole tray. Sunflower lasts a week in the refrigerator. Use those Everfresh bags. You're going to hear about them, the green bags. Last almost 2 weeks in those bags. Sunflower is what you're going to eat on the buffet. What we eat here at Hippocrates. You can also put them into your green juice. It's an excellent source of juice. Proteins. Sunflower, wheatgrass, also complete proteins. Okay, let's get on to pea greens, and we'll do buckwheat really quick, and that'll be it. Peas are the snow peas or the speckled peas, and you can kind of see what they look like. Now these have been sprouted and planted, so this is actually 2 days old. I don't have day 1 to show you. This is actually 2 days. And we keep them covered. Okay, you can keep them covered just like you did with the wheatgrass. The sunflower is the really only one that needs the weight on top of it. But if you did want to put weight on top of the peas, another tray right on top of them, it's okay. Not going to hurt anything. Still water them once a day heavy. And with peas, you do want to mist the second time if you only have the empty tray on top of them. Mist them a second time. And here's your next day with the peas. You still have the tray on top of them, making sure that they stay covered, stay moist. And they're starting to grow now. And this would be about your 4th day here. Now you can uncover it on the 4th day, just like you did with wheatgrass. You can see they're all starting to grow. This would be your 5th day. It's starting to shoot right up now. They're starting to green up. Don't really have any mold issues with peas. You don't have to worry about that. This will be your next day. Really growing pretty fast now. And then around your 7th or 8th day, they're going to be ready to cut. It's really hard to say exactly when it's ready to cut with peas. If they taste a little stringy, they're too old. You want to kind of cut them a little bit younger. If they're a little bit stringy, it's because they've gotten a little old. You can still use them for the juice. And that's the progression of peas. Buckwheat has to have the shell on it. It has to be whole buckwheat. The ones without the shell are called buckwheat groats. That's without the shell. That's what you can make your cereal with. You can make tabbouleh with buckwheat groats. But these have the shell on them. We soak them, we sprout them, and as you can see, not a lot of them actually sprout, but that's okay. we went ahead and planted them, watered them heavy, put that empty tray right on top of them again. Lift it up once a day, give it a good heavy water, mist it in the evening, second time. Same thing as the wheatgrass. And this is day 2. You can see now they're starting to sprout. There's still not a lot of them that have been sprouted though. A lot of people tend to write me and say, well, how come my buckwheat's not sprouting? And I say, have faith. So this would be your second day. Keeping it covered still. Third day. As you can see, now you're starting to get some good buckwheat growth in there. And then fourth day, still looks kind of sparse, but again, have faith. I would probably say we're keeping it covered for at least 4 days with that empty tray, watering it once a day, uncovering it now on your 5th day. Again, doesn't look too good, looks pretty sparse. I don't think we're going to get a lot out of here. But then all of a sudden, this is about your 6th day. Now we actually start to get some buckwheats. So I'm not sure where they're coming from. I've never kind of been able to explain it. And then we go over to our 7th day. Starting to get some full buckwheat there. Shells are starting to pop off. And around your 8th day. And that's about what you're going to get with buckwheat. Buckwheat you're going to be eating on the buffet. That's what we serve here at Hippocrates. You're not really going to juice buckwheat. It doesn't make a good juice. You just want to eat it. Shells are going to have a hard time coming off. All you do is when you harvest the buckwheat, just grab the top, shake it, and then grab it by the bottom and shake it again. And that'll get a lot of the hulls, a lot of the shells off. But you can see most of them are kind of popped off the leaves anyway. And that's your progression of buckwheat.